All right, welcome everybody to episode 2 of the Bricktato show with Chris and Matt. I'm Chris,
I'm Matt.
and we're gonna spin some more yarns, discuss life's mysteries, go soul searching maybe. The possibilities are endless.
Oh yeah. So Chris, I've been doing this thing with my kids at work lately, where I've been like all the clubs that I do every week. They're all these like adventure clubs where we like go on this crazy wild story where like we do all these activities based on the story that I wrote. And the first one I ever did was called Team Time Travelers Greece, and we like built a time machine, traveled back in time, and then like went and visited Greece and did all these like lessons that were all based on Greece and like Greek mythology and everything. And then like that got me thinking about these other ideas I could do. So then I planned Interstellar Club, where we built a rocket ship and then we launched it into space and crash landed on Mars. And then we had to like fight an alien to get resources to fix our ship and get back to Earth. And the kids just absolutely loved it. Like one of the activities was like, oh, our reverse thrusters broke while we were entering Mars's atmosphere, and we had to quickly figure out a way to slow down our rocket ship so we wouldn't like all die in the crash landing. And then like I had them all like do like an egg drop challenge.
Quickly drop these eggs. If they shatter,
Exactly.
we die.
It's like how are we gonna stop the rocket ship? So like
Kids love
and
doing
then I
things
had-
under pressure.
Oh, I know. And so like I started planning a bunch of them. So I've got one that's like called Into the Deep, where we're gonna go explore Mariana's Trench in the Pacific Ocean. And then I've got a Castaway Club, where we're gonna get lost on a deserted island. And the one I'm doing right now is a redo of the Time Travel Club. But this one, it's the kids think it's Team Time Travelers, the Middle Ages. But what's actually going to happen is we're going to build the time machine, and then as we're traveling to the Middle Ages, it's going to break, and we're going to end up going forwards in time and get lost in the future. So,
Nice.
and then I had this idea where like, so I was like, these are all so cool, and they all have stories behind them, and I was like, wouldn't it be awesome if every adventure club had like a little Easter egg from one of the other adventure clubs that tied them all together into one big story? So like I planned a club called The Mystery of Barty Poolsville, where the kids get all these letters from these mysterious people named John and Joe. And it's basically explaining that there's some like monster in the area that they're like trying to find and capture because he's terrorizing their town. And then so all these activities based on like beast taming, and like we're gonna make like rain sticks and everything, and like all these different things. And then at the end of the club, the last day, it turns out the beast is Bigfoot, because I looked up online, and apparently in Poolsville there's been some quote unquote Bigfoot sightings.
Why not
So it's
Bigfoot, right? It's gotta
Yeah,
be Bigfoot.
you know, why not? So eventually they're gonna like the end of the club, they've like met Bigfoot, figured out that the only reason he's terrorizing people is because people are disturbing him. So if you just leave him alone, everything's fine. And then they're gonna get one last letter from these guys, John and Joe, and the letter's gonna read something like, oh, when you guys traveled back in time to Greece, when you reached our time period, something broke off your time machine and landed in our time, and we used it to reverse engineer our own time machine and come to your time to ask for your help to find this Bigfoot. But we didn't want
like a whole Barty cinematic universe, man.
Right,
That's
exactly. And so they're like, yeah, and we didn't want to like show our faces to like disrupt the space-time continuum or anything, but we had to like leave you these letters. And then at the very end of it, it's gonna say like, thank you for all your help. Yours truly, John and Joseph Poole, founders of Poolsville, Maryland.
Those aren't the actual founders of Poolsville, are they?
Those are the real founders, yeah.
Really? Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So it's
John
gonna be
Poole.
yeah, John and Joseph Poole of Poolsville. And so it's all gonna tie in. And then like, so then I did like the Interstellar Club, and then so at one point while we were on Mars, we like found a Martian that we had to like fight to get the stuff we needed to get off the planet.
Who played the
And
Martian?
so when, it's total rip off of the Martian.
Nice.
It wasn't intentional that way, but halfway through planning it, I was like, I'm totally ripping off The Martian.
Did you like
But
pay a guy at the bus stop $5 to pretend to be the Martian and let all the kids beat him up?
no, it was all I pretended to be the Martian. It was all just that part of it. It was just a game that I came up with, where like I pretended to be the Martian. They had to like steal my Martian resources. But so then when we eventually do the Into the Deep Club, where we go explore the Marianas Trench, a part of the story is when we get to the very, very bottom of the trench, like as deep as you can go, we're gonna find a crash landed Mars spaceship, which ties it into the Interstellar Club. And then the end of that club, we're gonna resurface in the Pacific Ocean, and we're gonna find out that our submarine is out of fuel, so we have to map out how to like use the ocean's natural currents in order to just drift home. And then the next week we're gonna start Castaway Club, and we're gonna wake up and find out that we made a miscalculation and crash landed on a deserted island.
Man, you plan this stuff out much better than I ever did. I was always flying by the seat of my pants. You have like a whole itinerary planned out. I'm impressed.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm like having a blast with these like story driven clubs. It's so much fun.
It's all about the camp lore at the end of the day. Kids love a good story. That's incredible.
They love the story. It's amazing. Like they're so into it.
Oh man, they're gonna have a ball. That reminds me too. Like we were talking before the show. And I wanted to bring up a similar thing that I did back in 2019. And COVID's been so long, dude. It's freaky how much time has been like, how much time has passed since it started.
I still remember when the mask mandate first happened, and my co-supervisor in the juvie was like, he walked in like 2 weeks after we started wearing the mask, and he goes, "Man, I just hope this mask thing doesn't last very long."
Oh yeah, it felt like
2 years later.
At that point, it's like, man, by July, hopefully we won't need these things. It's like, yeah, July 2022, maybe. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
But yeah,
I think it's gonna be
digress.
Longer than that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like the flu eventually. But
I hope so.
Yeah. Anyway, I was in 2019, which might have been my last year working at the camp. I think I was part of hiking club with the one and only Meg. If you're listening, hi Meg, how you doing? But during that club, I got the idea to make it more than just like hiking. Hiking's great, don't get me wrong, but I mean, put me on a trail for more than 20 minutes and I'm thinking of literally anything I could do other than hiking. I'm not built for it. I don't know how I wound up doing hiking club.
Oh my god, I love hiking. I'm
a fan. It does not love me back. There's poison ivy and bugs, and it's hot out and it's sweaty. I need some time to acclimate, dude. I'm an avid indoorsman, man. I gotta acclimate to the outside world. But during that period where we were doing hiking club, we would have pretty long bus rides, like off property. Like at the start of the day, everyone would get on a bus and go maybe like 20, 30 minutes away to like a local park or like a hiking trail loop. And on the ride there, I was just trying to think of ways to keep like everyone occupied on the bus, and I naturally kind of gravitate towards storytelling. But at this point, every kid on that bus had heard every single story. They heard Banana the Frog, all the other ones, you know, like Tot. They've heard all of them. You know, they've heard the whole gamut. So now I just have to, you know, start making stuff up. So I'm just telling like total fiction now, like a fantasy, like Lord of the Rings level story about Butt Dog and Tot. If you listen to episode 1, you're familiar with Tot. Butt Dog, however, I think I need to introduce as well. He's a little cartoon dog with a butt for a face that I invented.
Also a sponsor.
Culture icon. Yeah, absolutely. Buttdog.org, thebuttdogcompany.com. Either of those will take you to today's sponsor, the Butt Dog Company. But yeah, so I make a bunch of these little butt dog stories, you know, like I come up with this whole like lore behind it where like we're going to like the enchanted butt dog forest, which is actually like Gambrel Mill Farm hiking loop 908, you know, like not very magical, but you make it sound magical. And the age group of the kids was such that the younger kids were probably like 5, 6, like little kids. And they're at that age where you just tell them anything and they're probably going to take it as fact. even if it's like obviously not true. So that let me kind of have this weird moment where it was like half the kids on this bus thought I was being completely honest about like, oh, this is the forest populated by butt dogs. And the other half of the bus knew it was all made up, but they didn't want to like spoil the illusion for the little kids. So it became this whole like super hyped, like almost like 3-day event where everyone was trying to like solve this mystery. Like the first day, it was pretty low key. But you were saying something?
Yeah, my favorite thing about the dynamic between some older kids, like when they start to get to like 4th and 5th grade and they're a little more self-aware, them and like the younger kids, is seeing them like realize that it means more than knowing the truth.
Absolutely. Like you hit that
Like,
divot and like,
yeah, they like play into it because they're like, oh, I get it now. Like it's fun because we know it's not real, but we're pretending it's real, and we're gonna pretend it's real so that the kids that don't know it's not real think it's real.
There's like that divot through like 3rd and 4th grade where kids are like, this isn't real. I need to alert the press. Like they're just like trying to debunk it for anyone and everyone. But then they get old enough and they're like, wait a minute. No, this is actually really fun. Like,
yeah, I think it's like midway through 4th grade is where I would like pinpoint where they kind of come to that realization. I think like third grade, it kind of starts. They start to kind of realize, like maybe midway through 3rd grade, they start to kind of realize like, oh, a lot of this is probably fictional.
They have their come to Santa moment. They're like, okay,
and then
I get this.
Right, and then they kind of come to be like, oh, well, now I have to call out the fact that it's all made up and like tell everyone. And then it's like midway through 4th grade where they're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, and actually, I think I have like a written down version of this story that might help me jog my memory. If you want to stall for time for like 30 seconds while I go grab it, that would be A+.
All right.
Just start reading the phone book. I got you, dude.
All right, let's see. Okay. Hey Siri. Tell me a joke.
How about a Frozen joke?
Yeah, why not?
I can't think of anything else.
Oh God.
We hearing Frozen jokes right now, dude? Oh man, the content has taken a turn. Wow. I leave for literally 5 seconds and we're both done with the Frozen.
I didn't know it was gonna be that brief. If it was that brief, I was just would have shut up for 5 seconds. We could have just cut it out.
That's all good. Probably will. All right. I wonder if I can just read it off. All right. So this coincided with like roughly the time I got a 3D printer. I was really into 3D printing at the time. That same week, I was in a hiking club. So the story so far, we have, I think we're going to Gambrel Creek Farm or something. I forget the exact name. But I had convinced all the kids that we weren't really going to Gambrel Creek State Farm or whatever I called it. We were actually going to the sunken ruins of the ancient Butt Dog Kingdom. I was getting into it almost as much as the kids were. Over the course of the 40-minute bus ride, I had woven a gripping tale of war and redemption, the likes of which a Greco-Roman epic that would serve as the backbone of the vast butt dog lore that would develop over the next 2 days. And like the funniest part too, I think we had an LIT, maybe 2 on the bus. One of them is my neighbor Ethan, super cool guy, probably not listening, but what's up, Ethan? And he was like my assistant the whole time. Like he was totally buying into it. He was the best, man. But
nice.
Like even the LITs were getting into it. They're like, oh man, okay, this is actually like pretty compelling. These kids are getting into it. And by the time we had pulled into the parking lot of this place, the massive gravel pile next to it and the porta potty farm nearby, everyone was stoked to find some fucking butt dog buried treasure. The hard part was going to be burying it, however. I had convinced them that there was this like buried butt dog. I forget what exactly it was, man. It's been so long. It's called like a staff or like a scepter that they had to find. Like just secret butt dog treasure. So the majority of the day was spent herding several small children around the woods of Montgomery County. It was actually a pretty nice hike, made even better by my elaborate on-the-fly explanations of how random objects the kids pointed out fit into the expanded butt dog cinematic universe. So kids would be like, yeah, what's that tree over there? And I'd be like, oh, that's a butt dog tree, Jimmy. What's that rock? Oh, that's the ancient rock of butt dog. Yeah, Craig the butt dog. He invented butt dog. And they're like, whoa, that's nuts, man. So they really bought into it. It was fun. Oh man, I forgot. So one of the first things that I printed on the 3D printer was like a golden butt dog amulet, which sounds fancy.
Oh my god.
I had this like 3D or like golden filament that I used, and the first thing that I printed, because I like the way that a 3D printer works is it needs like almost like a vector file to convert into like basically code to tell the printer what to do.
Yeah,
and you can
knowledge of it.
Yeah, and you can very easily convert like an SVG, like an Illustrator file, into it's called G code for a 3D printer to print.
Right,
so that was one of the first things I did. It's all good. It's just like a file type. Yeah, I already had a file like that laying around from when I did the butt dog stickers. So naturally, the first thing I tried to print was a butt dog, and they came out really good. I think did I give you a blue butt dog? I think I did.
No, you gave me a regular one, but it was 3D printed, and I had it velcroed to my pocket notebook for like a year until it started to fade. Like the black markings on it started to fade. So I took it off, and I don't know where it is right now, actually. I forgot about that thing. That thing was awesome.
Yeah, it was one of those, but gold. Exactly the same.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And I just had it kicking around. I was like, on the way out the door, I was like, you know what? I could work with this. I can improvise something involving this. So we were actually hunting for the butt dog amulet for the better part of the day. And I think I had another one in my pocket that I would use to help guide us on our journey. So
nice.
Anytime we were like taking a break for water, kids would be like, where do we go next? And I'd be like, well, let's consult butt dog. And I pull out like the butt dog amulet, and I would just like make them point in a direction and go, and they'd be like, we got to go this way. And like, they got so into it. It was like, I started to believe it myself. It's like, oh, well, I mean, butt dog said we got to go that way. You know, it's like full of poison sumac and coyotes, but I think we got to go there, guys.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty great. And then like you have to like pull clues out of thin air. So like you'd find a pine cone and be like, oh my goodness gracious, look at this thing. Wow, I haven't seen a butt dog cone in ages. And they'd be like, it's a butt dog cone. How's that different from a regular pine cone? And I'd be like, that's enough questions, Jimmy.
That's enough questions. Hey, you're asking too many questions.
Good question. Next question.
Oh my god, during one of my clubs, I think it was during Interstellar Club, at like one of the first days, I'm like I think we're doing like the rocket launch and everything, and you know I'm going through all the activity and everything, and I even had like a soundtrack that I had actually like made myself and was playing in the background as we're like launching into space. And one of the kids just yells out, wait, are we really going to space? And he's like one of those he's one of those kids that will totally gaslight everything and ruin it for everyone. I looked him dead in the eyes, gave him that like shut the fuck up look, and said, we're pretending. And he goes, oh, and then shut up from that point.
I like how I had to spell it out. Like he knows enough to like not spoil it, but not enough to realize that he's not actually going to space that day.
Right.
What a sweet spot to be.
I
miss being a kid thinking it was like genuinely possible you'd be going to space on a field trip that day.
I know. Well, like the whole premise was like we turned our classroom into the spaceship. Like we had like components that we had made and like posted around the room that were like our spaceship components and everything that we'd all designed ourselves and everything. The classroom was the spaceship. And I guess that's where he kind of got lost and was like, wait, did we actually turn it into a spaceship? And then so like when rocket launch came, he was like, wait, are we really going to space? And I just look at him and I'm like, nobody, it's pretend.
I'd have been like, yes, we are. I hope you brought your space suit.
I said it quietly enough that like only he would hear. I was like, we're pretending. And like nobody else heard. Everyone else was still enthralled with it. And he was just like, oh.
Yeah, that's great, man. If you're gonna eat that up. I remember. So day 2 of the hiking trip, I established the butt dog lore in day 1. I think the ending of day 1 was pretty cool. We stopped for lunch at like a pavilion because it actually like the trail we were on led out into like a normal park with one of those like playground areas and like a volleyball court, and the bus was there to pick us up. So they were all having lunch at like the little pavilion, and some of the kids had to go to the bathroom. There's like one of those like park bathrooms like across the way and a tree in between. So I pretended that I was going to go to the bathroom. So I get up and then I pretend, oh man, oh, my shoelace. Oh, I got to tie this real quick. And I like kneel nonchalantly behind like the only tree in the park. And I reach in my pocket and have this like golden egg thing that I 3D printed. And I just jam it under some mulch and like pretend to tie my shoe. I think I actually untied it for the bit, but like I tie my shoes like once every financial quarter. So I'm sitting there like actively trying to remember how to tie my shoe like a 5-year-old. I'm like, oh, God damn it. How'd it go again? Around the bunny, through the hole. Oh, fuck. But eventually I got it figured out. And I come back and I'm just waiting for someone to notice it, right? And they aren't noticing it. Like I think I was playing some like game where like everyone had to like step in circles and like follow like this butt dog treasure map that I wrote on in like a Chili's napkin and crayon.
Yeah.
And they're following the map and it led to the tree where I had the egg and these kids couldn't find the egg. And I'm looking right at it. Like it's not buried. It's just like under some mulch. I'm like, wow, these kids are not finding this thing. And then one of the youngest kids in the group was like, wait, what's that? And then like he found the egg and everyone flipped. It was really funny.
If there is one thing I have learned about like clubs like those where like they have to find clues and everything, it's that make it as easy as you think it needs to be and then make it 10 times easier after that.
Yeah, you really have to spell it out at a certain point.
You really have to spell it out for them.
like you feel like Dora the Explorer. Like, where's the egg, kids?
It's like slowly growing in the corner of the screen.
Yeah. It's got like a red blinking circle over it. You're making like unflinching eye contact with the camera.
Right.
Where is it?
And Dora's just looking at you like, you find it, you idiot.
Please, God, don't tell me you can't see the egg. Yeah, man. Oh. So that segue is sending us into day 2 of this hiking event. So that night, I programmed my 3D printer to print not 1, not 2, not 3, but 17 golden butt dog tokens. Enough for everyone in the group to have one, plus change.
Jeez.
Yeah. It was kind of a gamble making sure that it would run all night, because if a 3D print messes up, it messes everything up. But luckily, I walk downstairs in the morning, it's good to go. So I take all these little 3D printed butt dog tokens off. And
say that would be something I would have had made like a week prior. That way, if there was an error, I had time to fix it.
Bold of you to assume that I even knew what I was doing a week prior, man.
That's very true. I was just saying, it sounds like you were winging it a lot.
I was winging it exclusively. No amount of
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Speaking of winging it, I'm winging it this week because I walked into work at noon today after I had a bunch of stuff I was doing this afternoon, and like knew what club I was doing. I was doing the time travel club, Lost in the Future, and opened up my computer to look at what I had planned for that club and realized I had never actually planned the club. I just came up with the idea.
Step 1, come up with a plan for club.
Yeah, so I was like, oh crap, I had 2 weeks worth of futuristic activities to do in the next 2 hours.
Yeah, it's like when you're given like a PowerPoint presentation at school and like you come across a slide that's just like insert content. You're like, I'll figure this out. We're fine.
Yeah, flying by the wing of our teeth.
The wing of our teeth. Exactly. Yeah. So day 2.
Yeah, day 2.
We pull up to, let me see. This time it was Schaefer Farm. This is a little more rural. It's a very popular mountain biking trail, which I didn't realize at the time.
Any relation to Schaefer Road?
Probably. For you viewers following at home trying to pinpoint our location in Google Street View, there's your clue for today. But
you'll never find me.
Oh God, never challenge the internet. But let's see here.
Oh, I'm skilled, buddy. I'm police trained. I know how to avoid detection.
Possess a very special set of skills. All right. So like almost immediately on day 2, shit got really fucky. Like really fucky. We had barely made it off the bus. Everyone humps down there. I was, priming them up, getting them ready, telling some more butt dog lore about like the great potato butt dog war of 1983. And these kids were stoked. They were so ready to hunt some butt dogs. I had like a paper bag full of butt coin, just ready to, do whatever I was going to do with them. I didn't even know how kids were going to get the butt dog tokens. I hadn't thought
butt
that far
coin.
ahead. Yeah, dude, Buttcoin. I should make a cryptocurrency just called Buttcoin. I thought about making Butt Dog an NFT, but I feel like I missed the boat on that one. Plus, it's like $150 fee to make an NFT, and I'm like, that's where the real money's at. Not in the NFT itself, but having people pay you to make an NFT. But I digress.
I don't understand any of that stuff. But anyway, no, let's not get sidetracked.
I'd be happy to talk about it in a bit. I just want to get through the camp story. Got plenty to talk about. And yeah, so we get off the bus, and I quickly realized it's way too hot for my initial plan of wearing like long cargo pants with like pockets full of butt dog tokens. So I'm like, oh God, it's way too hot. I misjudged this. So I have to go into the the one porta potty and change. And I'm trying to like stash these butt dogs in like these like cargo shorts that I brought. And like my pockets are just packed. It looks so weird. I'm like, oh God, this isn't going to work. But, I'd rather not, die of heat stroke. So I walk out of the porta potty looking like I filled my pockets with like everything in a Radio Shack. Look like I'm shoplifting.
Do you not have a backpack?
I had like one of those like Under Armour totes, but I couldn't keep them in the bag. I was trying to do something sneaky where I'd like secretly like drop them under a rock and a kid would find them, to the point where like I couldn't be rooting around in my bag. Like I needed like quick access to the butt dogs for some reason.
Oh, you gotta like stuff them in your socks. Like
I should have hit a couple in my mouth and just like spat a couple
like in your waistband.
Right. Yeah, there was a better way to handle it in hindsight, but at the time,
here's what I would have done. I would have had 2 in each sock and 4 in my waistband.
Oh, dude, socks would be rough because these butt dog tokens aren't that small. They're like the size of maybe like half an iPhone.
Oh, so they were big. So, oh man, yeah. Oh yeah. No, yeah. So half an iPhone. Yeah. But still, like, if you're only gonna have them in there temporarily, like, just stuff them in your socks real quick. You walk like half a mile, pull it
something
out,
like that.
Yeah, and then like you got like 4 in your waistband, ready to go. You slowly like pull them out, and then like once you're out, you find an excuse that you need to go in your bag and you reload.
Yeah. So. Anyway, we're geared up, ready to go. These kids are ready to tackle another hike, another day of butt dog treasure hunting. And we immediately take like 5 steps on the path, and like a wasp flies by and immediately goes for Meg. Like, immediately. So all the kids start freaking out. I'm like, oh God, no, we're being attacked by a swarm of wasp. And we pretty much immediately have to flee back into the parking lot. Like, everyone's already shaken up. I think Meg got stung. Like, it was not pleasant. And we've been there about 5 minutes. Like, I see the bus like driving off into the distance. I'm like, oh God, we're in it. And
oh gosh,
we recollect, we regroup a little bit, and we continue down the hike, the hiking trail, the happy highway. And this is the point where I realize I've been so caught up in my butt dog treasure hunt plant that I forget how much I hate hiking. Like, I'm not really built for it, I inherited my grandpa's built like a fire hydrant gene, so it's a lot of walking, a lot of movement for a guy who's usually the most labor intensive part of my day is getting in and out of my car to go to work. So I'm quickly realizing hiking's not my forte. This would be a lot more fun without all the damn hiking. But additionally, I can hike like small distances, no sweat. But this is like a 6 mile hike, which I could handle on my own, but you're bringing along 17 kindergartners for the ride. So you got to take the distance that you're hiking and multiply it by about 4 or 5. And then you're probably, time wise about right about how long it's going to take you to complete this hike. So we're hiking deep into the bowels of Schaefer Farm. And little did I know the imminent shit show that awaited us in the forest. As we're walking down the trail, right? Every now and then you'd hear just like the whirring almost of like bicycle tires, right? like that, you know, you can kind of hear it.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know what it was. It was like fucking mountain bike day on the trail. Because every like 15 minutes, like clockwork, some guy would come screaming down the trail. Like not slowing down, just meow on a mountain bike.
Flying at mock chicken.
Yeah, mock chicken, dude. That's like, wow, we almost got taken out. So that already put us on edge. We have to look out for dudes just flying by, you know, like full spandex, Livestrong bracelet, camelback. Like they were decked out. But as we chuffed our asses farther down the trail, we came to realize that the first of many logistical errors involved with dragging 17 children along on a hike. Acing. On a good day, I'd wager that the average third grader can hike about 2 miles an hour. Less if they find a cool rock along the way, right? Based on the estimated length of the trail, optimistically, we'd be on the trail for about 4 hours. This is assuming everyone keeps pace and our lunch break ends on time and all that stuff. That's about 6 days in kindergartner time, unfortunately. So I think we hit about the 2 mile marker, and a quick glance at the watch revealed we'd already been at it for 2.5 hours and we'd hiked 2 miles. We hadn't even had lunch yet. So,
oh God.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, you know, at this point. So we start our lunch break around, I want to say maybe like 12:30. It's blurry. I'm just going off of what my journal here reads. But yeah, we come across during our lunch break. We're about halfway through this trail, not even. We're maybe, I want to say like 60-70% of the way through. That sounds about right. Like far enough to be pretty close, like maybe past the halfway point. And we're having lunch and we come across a massive downed tree right across the hiking trail. No way to get around it. Like it is just like a gigantic oak tree. There had been like a big storm the night before. And the entire tree just like fell, like the perfect, like in a horror movie where the tree falls down while the kids are running from Jason. It was like that. It was just like impassable unless you wanted to drag 15 kids through like a pile of poison sumac. Like there was just no way we were getting around it. So at this point, we had no other option but to backtrack through all the previous 3 miles of trail we had just hiked through. So again, we had our lunch break, and at this point, I snuck away to take a piss, and I had, I think at the time, half of the butt dog token. I think I had a big one I split in two, and I put half of it under a tree branch, not near where I peed, but on the way there, I did it. Out of spite, maybe I could have hit it in the pee. I don't know. But yeah, I had no idea what to do now because I had to do my job first and then the treasure hunt second. We had so many like unplanned variables hit us already that I was like, fuck, how am I going to do this butt dog thing? So by the time we resumed the hike, things began to feel less like a walk in the park and more like a death march. Kids were crying for their parents about half an hour after we ended lunch. And this is a part of the story that I try not to think about very hard, but it is a doozy of a story. I think I've told it to you before. There was a kid on this hike. To protect the innocent, we're going to call him Frappuccino. That sounds about right.
Frappuccino, nice choice.
Frappuccino, yeah. So, about 30 minutes after we end our lunch break, one of the kids, Frappuccino, turns to me and says the 6 words that no camp counselor ever wants to hear. Mr. Chris, I gotta go now. Not, I gotta go to the bathroom, not, oh man, my stomach kind of hurts. Literally like, I gotta go now. That's pretty rough. I could tell by the
like 3 times a day.
Yeah, it's rough, but I mean, at least you have like a toilet. You're indoors. I'm in the middle of the woods.
No, it's like it's always when I'm outside with the kids, and like it's not as bad as being out in the woods because I definitely can send them in to use the bathroom, but it's like when there's 10 minutes until you're bringing the whole group inside, like they kind of want to discourage you from sending kid after, because once one kid is like, I gotta go to the bathroom, then you got 5 others going, I have to go to the bathroom too.
Yeah.
And so like they kind of try to be like, all right, like make them wait, until everyone comes in. They can go in when they come in. So you kind of have to like you have to gauge like, all right, how bad do you really have to go? Like, are you doing the potty dance? Like, do you really have to go right now, or can you hold it for the next 10 minutes?
This kid was inches away from just exploding. It was not good. We're not talking like our nice, comfy, like city slicker bathroom breaks where it's like, oh, he's got to walk 30 seconds up to the building. Like, this kid was behind enemy lines. He was out in God's country. Nothing around for miles except probably a parking lot and a grocery store and stuff that you can't see behind all the trees. But as far as the third grader is concerned, he's out in the middle of nowhere. It's so remote. It's like Ozark or The Revenant. Like, no one can help you. It's between you and God at this point. And he's got to go now. And I could tell by the raw anguish in his eyes and voice that he wasn't joking. I had to act quick. I hurriedly ushered all the stragglers in the group in front of Frappuccino, who was now the camper equivalent of a live grenade. Once they were out of sight, I starfished myself out, like you spread your arms and legs out to block line of sight while the kid has to go to the bathroom, because there's no other option. This kid's going to have to call an audible, and I assume he had to pee at the time, which is okay, it's whatever. Frappuccino was a dude, so I'm like, people have done worse, this will be pretty low maintenance.
Yeah, that's why you always got to ask the question, do you got to stand up or do you got to sit down?
Yeah, in this current situation, I figured it made no difference, but I just assumed, Frappuccino had to pee. So I just like body block the kid, like you're staving off a bear trying to attack, just, blocking line of sight. I'm pointing away from him. And I gave Frappuccino the go-ahead to take care of business. He shuffled a few feet away for what I expected to be another routine field pee. What followed were the most horrifying 20 seconds of silence I've heard in my life, followed by a guttural, strained growl and a thud. I didn't dare to look back, but I remember asking, "Hey, Frappuccino, you done, bud?" And he just said, "No." He was dropping a growler. He wasn't going number one. He was dropping a fudgy right there in the middle of Schaefer Farms Municipal Hiking Trail. To make matters worse, out of the corner of my eye, I can tell he's not like in a bush or on the side of the trail. He's in the middle of it. He's loud and proud, front and center, dropping a log. And in this moment, I'm like, what the hell is this kid gonna do? How's he gonna wipe? So I'm thinking, okay, I have like Kleenex in my bag. I can help him, I can just chuck him back there and he can take care of business, leave no trace, Boy Scouts, this ain't Boy Scouts. You can just ditch it. But as I'm about to be like, all right, dude, do you need like tissues or something? He walks by me. He's pulled his pants up. He's just like, all right, I'm good. Let's go. He didn't wipe or anything. Frappuccino was a trooper, dude. I look back and I just see a turd sitting right in the middle of the trail. I'm like, oh my God.
Jeez.
Oh my God. It just kept on trucking.
I remember, so when I was 14 years old, I think, I was going into my freshman year of high school, I think. And no, I was a freshman in high school. And I was in the Boy Scouts, and I got invited to go on this trip to New Mexico to this mountain range called Philmont. And in order to go, you had to be a certain rank within Boy Scouts. You had to be a rank called first class. And the only reason I did Boy Scouts was because I loved camping. So I never was like ranking up or anything. I was never doing all this side stuff to rank up or anything. But I really wanted to go on this trip, so I like worked real hard to like rank up and everything. And I kid you not, like I ranked up to first class, the rank that you needed to go, the day that we left. Like not only the day that we left, 10 minutes before we hopped in the van to drive to the airport. Like
you clutched it up, man.
I showed up and told them like, hey, like I've got all this stuff I need to rank up. I need to have like a council meeting with you guys. They're like, all right. So they sat down with me. I presented them all the stuff I had done to rank up. And they're like, all right, you're first class now. Hop in the van. And we hopped in the van and left.
Get in, loser. You're promoted.
Right. And so So we're in New Mexico, in the deep mountains of New Mexico, and like there was a couple days in where we're hiking up this trail, and we didn't know which way we were really supposed to go, so we were just kind of winging it. We did a thing we called navigestimating.
That's good.
Yeah, so we just kind of like figured it out, and we're walking along this trail that was adjacent to this road, and then at one point this trail just ended, just came to an abrupt stop, and we're like, oh, what do we do? Like, we've been walking for like 3 miles. Like, we can go back and like start over, or we can just wing it and figure it out. Like, we knew we were walking in the right direction. We just knew that we were on the wrong trail.
Right general idea, just flawed execution.
Right. So I look to my left, and excuse me. I look to my left, and about 100 feet between us and the road is a bunch of brush. So I look at everyone, and I say, like, all right, let's just like huff it through this brush and get on the road, and we'll keep walking on the road until we come across another trail. And so while we're walking to the road, I tripped, and I'm carrying like 70 pounds on my back in this hiking backpack, like half my weight, and I tripped and I fell, and I looked down, and I've got like a splinter in my leg. I'm like, all right, no big deal. I kind of like limp to the road, and I sit down, and I look back, and I go, all right, hey, like, I've got a splinter in my leg. Can somebody like come up here with some tweezers or something and try to pull it out? And so somebody comes up, they start pulling on it, and then they look at me and they go, hey, Matt, that's not a splinter, that's a stick stuck in your leg.
I was going to ask, because I feel like the Matt definition of a splinter means you've been impaled.
Yeah, I was impaled by a stick about 3 inches long.
You call that a splinter?
When I looked down, I glanced at it, like it. At the time, I just like looked down at it for a half second and was just like, oh, there's something sticking out of my leg. It's a splinter. And so like, cause you could see like distinctly like it raising the skin, like how deep it had gone. And so I was like,
what others would call a stabbing, you would call a splinter.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm fine. Like I'll try to like, tough it out and everything. So we walked like another half mile up this road. And then at one point I just stopped. I was like, all right, I'm tough, but I can't do this. Like, this hurts too much. So we're sitting there like kind of thinking like, what do we do? Like, we've got an emergency phone just in case, but like, do we really want to use it? And then this rust bucket school bus comes barreling down the road. And one of the adults that was with our group, because we had to have adults because we're all like 14 years old. One of the adults steps out into the road and flags it down. And like gets on the bus, tells the bus driver like what's going on. And they're like, okay, cool. Like we'll bus them back to like the base camp. So I get on this bus with another one of the adults, and they took me back to the base camp, which was to the health tent. It was literally a tent.
Are we talking a vent tent or like Coleman
like
single person camping tent?
It was a big tent. It was a big tent. Like it was more like a circus tent, like real big. Yeah, but it was a tent in the desert. and they bring me in, and they're like looking at me and everything. They're like, okay, cool. Like, so they laid me down on this table, and then this doctor walks in and he goes, all right, so this person's going to be trying to remove this thing from your leg. Just so you know, it's my student. I look up and I'm like, you're going to have your student remove this from my leg?
I want your top physician.
Right.
I want Johns Hopkins himself to pull this out.
Right. So then the adult that had come with me had the bright idea that I should write a postcard home while this is all going on. So this whole time they're like pulling this stick out of my leg, and I'm laying there on the operating table writing a postcard home about what's going on.
Sounds like a Civil War, like battlefield amputation, like one of those letters.
Yeah. Right.
Dearest Rosemary, I fear I won't survive the long cold of the winter.
Right.
Like they give you like a swallow of Jack Daniels instead of anesthesia. It's like, all right, good luck, kid.
Exactly. Yeah, and so I'm writing home. They're pulling this stick out of my leg, and it turns out it was like this real soft wood. So like every time they tried to pull it out, it just broke into a smaller piece. So it took like 2.5 hours of an operation to do.
That's a son of a bitch, dude. Jeez.
Yeah, and then like they finally got it out, and they're like, all right, we're waiting on like a transport to get you back to your hiking group. And so I was waiting there for like 3 hours. They finally find this like old Toyota Tacoma that like drives me through this horribly steep mountain range, like up this steep trail. We're driving up like a 45-degree angle, and to the left of us is like a 100-yard drop.
Oh God. No, thank you.
And we finally pull up to this campground, and as I get out of the car, like everyone from my group just stands up and starts cheering because I have this triumphant return. And then like all these other groups off in the distance, they start cheering because they heard about the story of what had happened, and they start cheering for me.
You thought you were dead.
Right, exactly. And I was like, oh my God, he's back. And then we woke up the next day and walked another 10 miles.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild, man.
Oh man, there was another day of that hike. This was after that. We got lost. And so we were walking down these trails, and we stopped at this riverbank. And the kid who was like supposed to be in charge of everyone, he was having real bad stomach issues, like bad to the point that he was like on the ground, couldn't move. And so I had the title of the chaplain's aide, so I was supposed to like lead all the prayers and everything. But by definition, I was second in command. So since the leader was out of commission, it was up to me to call all the shots.
Yeah.
And so they're like, we had already walked probably like 10 miles that day, and we had no idea where we were, and the sun was starting to go down, and like when you're in the deep mountains, you got to worry about like mountain lions and bears and all this stuff, and like snakes
gonna get you.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, all right, we have two options. We can either just camp here for the night at this riverbed where it's very open, and we know we're doing, we have water and everything, or we can try to keep going and see if we can find this campsite. And so I thought like, all right, like, we stopped and we had dinner and everything. And I was like, I think we should keep going because I think we're heading in the right direction. We should keep going and try to find this campsite. And so we all got in a line, and we're walking hands on shoulders, like close to each other, and we're just singing any song that we know the words to so that we can just keep making noise to scare any animals away. And we probably walked until like 2 a.m, and we're all like drenched in sweat because we've been walking all day and like have no idea where we are, completely lost. And then all of a sudden we see this light in the distance, and we all stop and we're like, what's that? And somebody goes, who's there? And we're like, hey, it's this group, whatever. And like, they're like, all right, we've been looking for you forever. Stay right there. And so we're all like, all right, cool. So we all sit down and like take a break and everything. And like 10 minutes later, these two guys walk up, and one guy's got a giant Bowie knife, and the other guy has a giant club made out of wood.
Two characters you want to see in the woods.
Yeah. And one of us looks up and they go, what's the club for? And the guy looks at it, then looks at the kid and goes, for bears.
Duh. It's a bear club.
Right. And so they're like, hey, follow us. So we like start following these guys. It was probably another mile walk. We start following these guys. We make it to the camp and like start settling in, and like, so we're in the deep mountains. There's bears around and everything. So like every night you've got to hang all your food in a tree. So like most of the team, they go off and they go to set up the bear bags, hang them in these trees. But somebody's also got to set up a tent. So they left me behind to set up this like 7-person tent by myself. And I didn't have any tools or anything, so I just grabbed a rock off the ground and was like hammering these stakes into the ground with this rock at like 3 a.m, dead tired. Like, I was so upset about it. And like, finally I finished and like everyone was still doing the bear bags and everything. So I climb into my sleeping bag and I lay down. I'm just like, I'm bullshit. Like, I'm going to sleep. Like, they can deal with it. And then I hear, Matt. And I'm like, what? They go, we're having some problems. We need you to come help with the bear bags. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, so I unzip my tent. I climb out. I walk like the 200 yards it is to get to where we're hanging the bear bags up. I help them hang them up. And afterwards, like, one of the parents sits me down, like, take your boots off. I'm like, why? I just want to go to bed. And they're like, take your boots off. So I take my boots off, and I've got like 5 blisters on my feet. And so for like another like 30 minutes, they're like popping my blisters and like cleaning them up and like wrapping them and everything. We literally would wrap our blisters in duct tape, because that was just all we had. And then finally,
is that approved by the Surgeon General?
Wait, I'll tell you what, it works a wonder.
It's gotta be better than nothing, right?
Yeah, it's better than nothing. And so, like, we finally get to bed at probably 3:30 in the morning. Then we woke up at 6 a.m. the next day and walked another 10 miles after that.
It's commitment to the craft.
Dude, that trip was wild. At one point, I almost stepped on a rattlesnake.
Oh, they don't like when you do that.
No, it was like the first day of our hike, too. Like, we're walking up this trail and somebody just goes, oh my God, snake. And I look directly beneath my feet and I'm like mid-step, and between my stepping legs is a rattlesnake.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
that
God.
could have ended the trip quick.
Yeah, I would have ended it real fast.
It almost gave you a splinter.
Right. A real bad one.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's see. I'm trying to think of pivot here. Total whiplash-like transition, but here's a funny story. So I had my girlfriend over for dinner a couple months ago. We're all sitting down having a nice family meal. I forget what exactly we had. I think it might have been like a stew or something. Not important. My dad is just making friendly conversation. My family's not used to having a lot of girls in the house. You know, it's my dad, me, and my brother. And, you know, just my mom. So, you know, we don't really know how to act when there's like a female that isn't my mom in the house. And
right.
I can tell like my parents are definitely like, you know, trying to be like extra nice and like, oh, we have company over. And my dad's making conversation and he's talking about how I think the fair was in town. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's great. You know, I love the fair. And he was talking about all the stuff he likes doing at the fair. It's like, oh, they have this like great you know, like they have like the livestock competition, like they'll see who has like the best cow, the largest turnip, but like, you know, you get funnel cake, lemonade. And then he looks at us and goes, what I love doing, you know, when I was a kid, I'd always go down, get one of those hentai tattoos. And me and Eva look at each other like, a fucking what tattoo? Like, yeah, a hentai tattoo.
He meant
henna. He meant a henna tattoo, and I'm like, God damn it, Dad.
Those are two very different things.
Incredibly different tattoos. But oh my God, like I still laugh my ass off thinking about that, man. Like he was just completely trying to make friendly conversation and accidentally said he wanted a Japanese tentacle porn tattoo. Like, dude, he tried, man. He tried.
Yeah, he was doing his best. He was doing his best.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But sometimes your best is a hentai tattoo, apparently.
That's a hell of a first impression. I'll tell you what. Knowing your family, that tracks. Like, I've only met you and your brother, but you guys are exactly the same kind of personality. Like, that makes sense. Actually, no, I did meet your dad when I saw you in Frederick that one time.
Yeah, actually, I think you saw like a bunch of people. I think you saw Eva.
I'm sure I did. I
me, and my
paid no
parents.
attention to them because I was more interested in talking to you. But
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the real eye candy here. You gotta.
well,
get
I
a
thought it was
slice.
funny. I saw you and I was like, oh my god, it's Crochet. And I walked up and I just like walked up. You didn't see me, and I pointed a finger right at your chest, and I said, "Look at this ugly mug." Like, I could tell you were like in a moment of like, oh, I don't know if this guy's joking or if he's about to fuck my day up. And then you saw it was me. You're like, hey.
It took me a brief moment. Like, I think you were walking up to me and I was like telling a story or something. I was like,
Right.
This guy's breaking my personal bubble. I'm like, oh, because it's Matt. Sweet.
Yeah. I couldn't believe I found you there.
What are the odds, man? Oh, that's always a funny thing too. Like at any point in a relationship is like introducing the parents to said significant other. It's like diffusing a bomb at worst, and I don't know, maybe a jolly Norman Rockwell painting at best. I don't think anyone really has the Norman Rockwell moment. At least not the first
it's
time.
tough too because like some parents are really easy,
Yeah,
you know, but others are just so tough. Like you really got to impress them, and some parents just go into it thinking they're gonna hate them, and that's a bad way to start it.
It's like my old TV studio teacher in high school would always talk about how, and I'm vaguely trying to remember the context here. I think when he was younger, he took a girl on a date and he had to like meet the father first before doing so. And he walks inside and sits down at the kitchen table. And this dad was in like the Marine Corps in his youth.
Oh,
and he's sitting there disassembling like a Smith and Wesson, just like taking a gun apart on the table and reassembling it. Like, so what are your intentions with my daughter? Just like laying it on thick. And he was like, oh, I'm gonna take her to Benihana's, sir. Please don't kill me. And like, I don't know. Like, I feel like today that seems like a rare breed. You're not going to have a lot of dads disassembling a rifle in front of the prospective son-in-law. I feel like
you're talking to one.
They really ought to bring it back.
I don't know. Yeah, I was say you're talking to one. I got a Glock in my drawer that I'm planning on rebuilding as my first daughter brings her first boyfriend home.
Hell yeah, dude. Okay, here's a question that you would always ask me back in our glory days working at camp.
Oh boy.
So, right, you would always ask me, hey Chris, you got a hot dog. Would you classify that as a sandwich or as a taco? And to the casual observer, I'd say, well, it's a fucking hot dog. But if you play by the rules of the game, is it a sandwich or is it a taco? I want to hear your stance on it. It's been a while since I've heard it.
I think so. Here's my thing. So, going back to the hot dog being a sandwich. One, I think it's a taco just for the memes because it's funny. But but if we're talking about if it's a sandwich, my standby notion is that a hot dog is not a sandwich because if I just ate a hot dog with no bun, it's still a hot dog regardless of if I have the bun or not.
Okay, so you're talking just like the frankfurter, the wiener.
I'm talking
itself.
just the weenie.
Okay.
It's still a hot dog if I'm eating just the weenie.
That's a good point, because if you're eating just like the contents of a sandwich, that's just not a sandwich. It's just
not a
meat
sandwich.
and like lettuce and vegetables and condiments and shit. But it's not a sandwich. You need bread.
Right, exactly. The bread is what makes it the sandwich. And calling it a hot dog, like yes, when you typically think of a hot dog, you think of a roasted weenie in a bun with some mustard and ketchup on it. That's your hot dog. Yeah. But really think about it. When you go to the grocery store and you're buying hot dogs, you're not buying the weenie with the bun around it. You're buying the weenies. That is what, at its base level, what a hot dog is. The hot dog is the meat. And the meat itself cannot be a sandwich on its own. So
going by that logic, it couldn't be a taco
therefore-
either, though.
It's very true.
Because if you just take all the contents of a taco out, that shit's not a taco either. That's just like chicken.
And then you just got ground beef with you just got ground beef or some chicken with some cheese and some cilantro.
Some
exactly.
Diablo sauce, but the tortilla is really the differentiator there, you know?
Yeah, it's the classifying factor.
Yeah.
Now,
The independent variable.
Now here's one for you. Soft shell or hard shell tacos?
I gotta go soft shell. I feel like hard shell tacos are just, they get in the way of the taco experience because you take a bite and it shatters like a fucking stained glass window. I feel like half the time I spend eating a hard shell taco, I'm spending playing cleanup from the first bite of my hard shell taco. It's
here's my opinion. Unless I am eating authentic Hispanic tacos, if it's authentic, like real, legitimate, made by somebody from like Honduras,
like they're not tacos, they're tacos.
Yeah, they're tacos.
Real deal.
Like real, legitimate tacos, soft shell all day, because that's how it's supposed to be. But if I'm eating like an American taco, hard shell all day, a soft shell taco is a burrito that's not trying hard enough.
That's fair. I will say this. I think it totally depends. Like you're working with two completely different schools of taco. When you've got like the Americano taco, like the Taco Bell taco, everyone thinks of like the hard shell, like neon yellow, like, you know, like shredded cheese on top.
Exactly.
You know, mystery beef. That is a hard shell only type deal. Because if you're working, if like your best definition of a soft shell tortilla, you know, if you're working with like a Mission flour tortilla, that's not really a taco in my book. That's just a glorified wrap. Because those tortillas suck. They're too thick and they taste like just bread. They don't taste like a tortilla. There's no corn. It's all flour. But if you can get the right kind, like those corn tortillas, oh man, then you got to go soft shell, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the filling.
Yeah, like you go to a legitimate Hispanic restaurant where they sell authentic tacos, like those, like you're not even gonna find a hard shell taco on the menu. And those are amazing tacos. But if I'm talking like if I'm going to Taco Bell, I'm ordering a hard shell taco every time because that's the American taco. Yeah. And when it comes to American tacos, my opinion is if it's a soft shell taco, it's just a really shitty burrito.
I think a lot of it's got to do with the ratio of ingredients. I think it's a lot easier to strike that with the hard shell because it's thin and crispy. But if you have like a thick, chewy flour tortilla, it gets gummy on you. Because I agree. Like if you're going to Taco Bell, you got to get that crunchy taco. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't.
Well, the other thing too is like I'm a big texture guy when it comes to eating my food. And if I get like authentic tacos, a lot of times those corn tortillas, like they've got a little bit of a crunch to them, like just enough. Like it's still soft, but it's just enough crisp that it satisfies that crunch need. You know? Whereas if you get like an American taco, you get those soft shell tacos and it's just bread.
Yeah, it's like you can feel your teeth floppy. Like mush into them. You're like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, you're like, this isn't good. Like
barely a taco.
The closest thing I can imagine to like an authentic, like that authentic feel of that like slight little bit of crunch is, and this is gonna be controversial, but if you go to Taco Bell and you get a chalupa where they have that like kind of fried tortilla in a way,
almost like a big like a Tostitos round with stuff on top of it, kind of.
It's like I don't know. It's like a I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like a normal tortilla, but it has just a little bit of a crunch to it, and it feels a lot like those authentic tacos. And I'm not at all trying to say that Taco Bell is anywhere even remotely near an authentic taco. Like it is not at all. It is a means to an end. Like
it's America's taco.
It is
Taco Bell tacos are the backbone of this
something in my belly, and this is the closest place to me. And I'm a big fan of Taco Bell. I love Taco Bell. It's my favorite
a taste of
restaurant.
Mexico, but I'm shit faced and it's 3 a.m. That's the Taco Bell way.
Right. But the tortilla of the chalupa from Taco Bell reminds me more of like that kind of like feel you get from an authentic taco.
I can see what you're saying. It's a little more substantial, but I feel like it's not even in the ballpark of an authentic taco. It's still a
not
Taco Bell chalupa. It's in a league of itself.
No. It's literally just like it's just the tortilla that does it for me. Like everything else is like cheap meat, cheap cheese. Like it gets the job done.
Dirty deeds done dirt cheap, dude.
Right.
Oh man. I'm trying to think of a continue. What about Taco Bell?
Taco Bell is the cheapest fast food restaurant, cent per calorie in the United States.
Really?
Yep.
I never think of Taco Bell as like the most affordable option. I just think of it as the most taco-y option.
No, it's the most affordable fast food restaurant. You get more per calorie or more per dollar per calorie than any other fast food restaurant.
You can fast track your diabetes for the man on a budget.
Also, the Taco Bell tacos were originally based on real authentic tacos. The guy who invented Taco Bell, he was the owner of a burger joint. And it was like across the street from this authentic taco place that he loved. And he went there like every day for lunch. And every day he'd order like these real authentic tacos and he would eat them and try to reconstruct them and like figure out how they made them so good. And
like
he eventually eventually he came up with like the Taco Bell recipe, which is nothing like those real tacos. But what he achieved was creating a meal that you could get for the cheapest price out of any other place around.
I feel like he had an ulterior motive there.
Well, and that's what they live by. Like, is they are the cheapest option out of anyone. They know what they're doing in order to make it so that you will pay the least amount of money for your food. And they say that like they went and like interviewed the people that like were owners of that original taco restaurant, and they said that like they admitted they're like, yeah, we taught them how to make our tacos and everything. Like, and like they're not real tacos, but they are damn good.
It works. It is a taco, and you can't eat it.
It works. Like
it checks all the boxes, baby. It's taco shaped, and you can eat it.
Exactly. So it's crazy to think that like the Taco Bell taco was originally based on a real authentic taco.
It's pretty mind-boggling, you know. It's like at some point McDonald's was based on a place that served actual burgers with real meat in them. Crazy to think.
Hey, they still sell real meat. It just comes from 100 different cows.
Yeah. We can go back to episode 1, the Omni Burger, where they're like combining. It's like a red blend wine, but with beef. Like logistically, that's something you can only get at McDonald's. You're not going to be able to get your 800 cow beef combo anywhere else, man.
Maybe Burger King.
Maybe Burger King, but I feel like Burger King is, if anyone's, I'd like to rescind my shade thrown at McDonald's. I think Burger King's really doing the most damage behind the scenes. They probably like switched from cow meat a decade ago. Dude, people have probably been eating horse meat for decades over there, man. Burger King is foul.
I don't remember where I heard this from, but you know how like Burger King's biggest like advertising point is that their like burgers are grilled on like real grills?
I feel like that's not much of a selling point. It's like we threw on some hot metal.
Yeah, it's not much of one, but like a big thing is that like they have these like grill marks on them, like they're grilled on real grills.
Yeah.
I was informed by somebody that worked for Burger King at one point that the patties come with those grill marks placed on them,
like pre-painted on.
Yeah, and they're like grilled on the same kind of grills that McDonald's grills them on, like same thing.
That doesn't surprise me. When's the last time you walked into a Burger King and saw someone loading up a charcoal grill?
Exactly.
They're doing the same shit. They're just sharpieing grill marks onto the patty.
And again, like I could be wrong. Maybe they really do use like real grills and everything. If they do, awesome, good for you.
I feel like what they do, I feel like they might get one of those weird like grill elements that's got like the ridges on it to make it have the marks, but aside from that, it's no different.
Yeah.
That's nuts though. I like to believe that they just straight up raw grill marks under the patty.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that video of like the secrets behind fast food commercials? Like the videography there?
Oh yeah, how they like use all these crazy ingredients that are not edible.
Yeah, like a pancake commercial. They'll take normal pancakes that they've like basically airbrushed with paint to look like the perfect Vitruvian pancake. And then they'll put these little like cardboard circles in between each pancake to give them that lift.
Yep.
And you see maple syrup doesn't really have that photogenic quality, so they use like Pennzoil, motor oil that they just drizzle on top. I'm like, oh yeah. That's flavor country, baby. It's fucked up too because they look delicious in the commercial.
I saw a video once where these content creators on YouTube, they got together with the people that actually created those products for those commercials, and they recreated those products in real life, and then they tried the real one and then tried the one from the commercial.
They ate the oil pancake stack. Oh god, it's gonna kill you.
I know. I mean, I'm pretty sure they probably made modifications to make sure that there was nothing in it that was toxic.
I like to think they were down in synthetic motor oil for the meme.
Right. It was not real, like anything that would kill you or anything, but like I mean, there was like ones that had like glue on them and everything, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna eat them, see what they taste like. And
not the first time I've eaten glue.
Right.
Tastes like home. Oh man. Speaking of eating things that you probably shouldn't eat, what would you say is the unhealthiest thing you've ever consumed?
Oh,
it's a big question, so I can go first if you'd like.
Oh no, I've got an answer.
All right, hit me with it.
The awful taco at Waffle House.
Explain for our viewers at home the awful taco, Matt. Take it away.
Have I told you about the awful taco? Do you know what it is?
Oh, you've told me the legends of the awful taco.
Okay, so the awful taco.
I'm cursed with this knowledge.
Yeah, the awful taco is this. It's this challenge that a friend of mine stumbled upon on the internet. And what you do is you go to Waffle House and you order the only thing worth ordering on the Waffle House menu, which is the All-Star Special. And you get a little bit of everything. You get a waffle, you get eggs, bacon, hash browns, toast, the whole works. And so you start with your waffle on the bottom, and then you throw your hash browns on top of the waffle. Then you throw on your bacon or sausage or whatever you would order with that kind of meal. And then you take and then you throw your eggs on top of that, and then you fold it in half into a taco shape. And the goal is to finish the whole meal in one sitting without ever letting go of it. Like one sitting, everything down, like no leaving, no getting up, And like, yeah, the toast is there, but the toast is kind of like all right, I finished, time for dessert. The toast is the dessert.
The toast is the victory lap.
Yeah, the toast is optional. It just doesn't really fit with the awful taco.
Okay.
And man, it is surprisingly delicious. Like, it is.
I mean, everything that's going into an awful taco sounds pretty good. I like waffles. I like hash browns.
Yeah.
Did you say it came with grits? Do you have to drizzle grits on top of it too?
No. So you choose between grits or hash browns, and we always went with hash browns.
Yeah. No, you'd be a crackhead if you elected to go the grits route.
Yeah, and like syrup is optional. Like when we first did it, we did it without syrup.
To go syrup.
Yeah, when we
raw
first
dog
did
it without syrup.
Yeah, when we first did it, we went without syrup, but like as we kind of started doing it more, we're like, all right, syrup kind of is the move.
Absolutely.
But man, like every time we would only do it once every couple of months. And man, every time you'd finish and like we were like, all right, the bathroom better be available in the next 10 minutes because it hits you and it hits you fast. Like
I'm gonna brown.
Right, exactly.
Hits you like a dump truck. I know the feeling, man. Like, I've never had food go straight from my mouth to my fucking colon so quickly as when I eat Waffle House, man. I don't know what they do to the hash browns there, but like on like the 7-minute drive from the Waffle House to my house, I go from being totally fine to being on like the absolute verge of shitting my pants. I don't know what it is with Waffle House. It's always Waffle House.
There was one time me and my buddies Ethan and Nick, we all went and we all did the awful taco challenge. And we afterwards we all hopped in my buddy Ethan's truck and we drove back to his apartment. It was like a 2-minute drive. And we get back to his apartment and he's only got one bathroom. And we're all sitting there just like, and then one of us gets up and we're like, all right, it's time. He walks into the bathroom. And then in the next couple of minutes, he's in there still like releasing some demons. And we're like standing at the door like, hurry up, man. We gotta go.
That sink over there is looking pretty tempting right now. Hurry up.
Right. Like, if you don't want to clean shit out of your sink, you better hurry up.
Unless you got a lot of faith in your garbage disposal, man. You better hurry up in there. Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah. That is by far the unhealthiest thing I've ever consumed.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the least healthy thing I've consumed. And in recent memory, it's not as spectacular as the awful taco by a country mile, but it felt like I was actively harming myself trying to eat it. Like, I was making a grilled cheese and it was late at night and there was nothing better in the fridge. So I'm like, all right, I'll make a grilled cheese. But earlier that day, we had made BLTs, and the bacon grease that we had, like, we keep in like a bowl until like it solidifies. So I'm like, oh shit, okay. Well, why am I bothering using like butter to fry it up when you can use bacon grease? It'll taste like bacon. It'll be a win-win. Only problem is I was really generous with the bacon grease, and the bread I used didn't really like fry up like a grilled cheese. Like, it didn't get that crust. It just turned into a sponge.
Oh, really?
So I wind up with like basically a hot American cheese sandwich that's been like saturated with bacon grease.
Oh gosh.
I take one bite and I'm like, this is awful, but I'm starving. Like, there's nothing else in the house. And even then, I think I didn't make it through half of it. I felt like every bite was taking a week off my lifespan. I was like, I can't finish this fucking thing. This is going to kill me, dude. It was gross. But then I think too of what's that?
Oh no, go ahead.
I remember back before the dark times when people actually went outside and like got dinner together and stuff. Like, some of my fondest memories were like hanging out with buddies at like either Waffle House or like Green Turtle. A lot of the time I'd be at those like camp employee dinners, man. That was always a good time. And without fail, every time me and like my camp buddies would get together, somebody would dare me to do a shot of all the condiments at any given table. One time I did a shot of ranch dressing for like $5. That one actually sucked because ranch dressing is acidic.
That's
like
true.
It burnt it really did burn going down. Like, I think I inhaled it a little bit too, and when ranch dressing hits the back of your throat, man, it kills.
Oh man.
Then there's the time like at Waffle House once.
Dude, I have an unhealthy obsession with ranch dressing.
I've never been a big ranch guy. I always feel like it's not my top dog condiment.
Oh my god. I will not eat pizza without ranch dressing.
Okay, you're a crackhead, and that's not right. Ranch on pizza?
It's so good.
No, it can't be, dude. Like I can't imagine that combo working.
Have you tried it?
Not deliberately. I'm sure I've accidentally gotten some ranch on my pizza before and been like, well, this sucks.
Next time you order pizza, call me and try it with some ranch dressing, and I want to see your reaction. It is so good. I used to be like you.
That working.
I used to be like you. I was like, this sounds horrible. It sounds awful. Like, why would I ever do that? And then one time I just shot in the dark. I just tried it, and it changed my entire outlook on everything.
You know what might change your outlook on at least leftover pizza? Is if you've ever used an air fryer. That is the way to reheat leftover
I did that
pizza.
one time. Yeah, I did that one time, and oh my God.
It's life-changing. Like, I want to retroactively, like, I want to go back in time and warn myself of all the times I've eaten cold leftover pizza straight out of the fridge. That there's a better way.
Or just straight preheating the oven and just heating it up in the oven. Like,
well, with the oven, it dries it out big time.
It's not quite as good. Yeah, like, it's not quite as good when you do it with the air fryer, but like compared to microwaving it,
that was always my go-to. Just out of sheer laziness, I would microwave my pizza, and it's especially bad if you get like a bready like Pizza Hut or Papa John's type beat. Like, you're basically eating like wet bread with cheese on top.
Yeah.
Because like the problem with heating up the oven is it takes like what 20 minutes for an oven to preheat.
Yeah, it takes forever.
Pizza is not like a time commitment food. That's for the man on the go. Pizza is the food for the man of action. You know, if you're eating pizza, you don't have time for the oven to preheat. That's my main gripe there.
Dude, when I was in college, so in my college town, we had like 20 different bars downtown.
Yeah.
And so on the weekends, everyone would go out to the bars. It wasn't really my thing, but I did every once in a while if like somebody kind of dragged me into it. And I still to this day think this is the most genius marketing ploy ever. So once the bars closed, as you were walking back to the campus to go back to your dorms, there was a Domino's pizza on the way. Like, you had to walk right past it.
Yeah.
And what they did is they would pre-make a bunch of cheese and pepperoni personal 10-inch pizzas. And they would just have a guy stand outside with a stack of them. And he would say, $5, you get a pizza. And if you walked up, if you had a $5 bill, you just hand him a $5 bill, he'd hand you a pizza, and you went on your way.
That guy's an entrepreneur. Was he with Domino's or was he just some guy?
Yeah. No, he was with Domino's. They had like planned this out. They were like, yeah, like take all these like personal 10-inch pizzas, walk out there. He had like 10 of them in his arms. And you just stand there and just be like, you guys want a pizza? I'd be like, yeah. And he'd be like, $5. You hand him a $5 bill. He'd take one off the top. He'd be like, you want cheese or pepperoni? Pepperoni. Pull one out from the middle, hand it to you, and like, and you would just keep going. You didn't have to stop. Like,
man, where was this guy when I was in college, man?
I know.
We had to physically enter a building to get food. What kind of bullshit was that, man?
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Like, I couldn't believe the amount of times I bought a pizza off that guy. Like, I would go out to the bars and make sure I had a $5 in my wallet just so I could get a pizza afterwards.
Nice. Yeah, nah, in College Park we didn't have, you know, like friendly pizza men as much as we had stabbings, unfortunately. Dude, College Park, and maybe it's just a college town thing, but especially College Park, like, I don't know why, but it seems like immediately the second you're near a college campus, people start getting real stabby real quick. Like, my apartment overlooked like the scene of a hate crime. I'm like, dude, there's just a disproportionate amount of bad shit happening.
There was a shooting outside my apartment like 2 years after I graduated from college. I was still living in town.
Yeah.
And I was at work when it happened, but some guy was throwing a party like a block from my apartment, and you could see it from our like deck window. So we had these big deck windows in our living room. They were like floor to ceiling high. And you could see this whole party going on. And I came back from work. I was working nights, and I came back from work at like 6 a.m. And my now ex-girlfriend was at the apartment, and she was like, "Yeah, last night like there was this big party going on, and then I heard gunshots, and like people were like rushing into our building and trying to get into apartments to get away and everything." It was wild. Like,
yeah, it's
and there was like there's another time I was like walking through the neighborhood. This was when I still was in college, but I was walking through that same neighborhood, and we're just walking down some street, and we're doing nothing. We're just off on a walk because we had nothing better to do. And this guy like kicks open his door, and he's standing in his doorway, and he's got a pistol in his hand. And we like stop and look at him, and I see him. He's standing there, and he kind of like looks down his arm, and then like moves his arm so he's hiding the pistol behind like the frame of the door. And he looks at us. He goes, "How you guys doing?" And we're like, "Hey, man." And we just kind of like started walking really fast to get away from there real fast.
Probably a good move. Jesus Christ.
And we're like, oh God. Like, I don't know if that's a BB gun or a real gun, but I'm not sticking around to find out.
It's like, hey guys, how you doing? Having fun tonight? Cool.
Right.
It's like, okay, I don't know why the fuck you've got a gun, but clearly you've had a rougher night than I have. I'm just gonna go.
Right. Like,
so strange.
No thanks. I want no part of this.
Fuck this shit. I'm out. Oh man. Speaking of wild college stories, have I ever told you the stories that my roommate Tejan would generate? Because this guy was a trip. He was an international student from Gujarat, India. Good kid, well intentioned, but he would just unintentionally do some really, really funny shit. I remember.
I vaguely remember this, but I don't know.
I think I might have told it at I think your birthday party or something. Like,
right.
So where Tejan came from, culturally, drinking alcohol just was not an okay thing to do. It was very taboo. And he was really curious and wanted to try alcohol when he came to the US. And I'd always talk to him and be like, all right, well, you see, Tejan, alcohol is like, how do I describe this? You ever play shoots and ladders where you don't know if you're going to get a shoot or a ladder? Alcohol is kind of like that, but you don't know if you're going to be happy or sad or throw up or dance. You know, it's a real grab bag of emotions. But most of the time, you can usually not go overboard and have a pretty fun time. And he was curious to try it. And he went to a party one night. And of course, his friends, being the wonderful, supportive bunch that they are, figure, all right, fuck it, let's get Tejan going with a Four Loko, and hand him one of those big camouflage cans of doom. Now, this isn't like the OG 1990s Four Loko with like energy drink and like malt liquor mixed into it. But it's still a lot of alcohol. It's a shock to the system, especially if you've never tried alcohol before. So within minutes of Tejan chugging a Four Loko, he vomits everywhere. Just all over the place. But like the Four Loko hit him. Like, it's not like he vomited it before it could hit his bloodstream. Like, he's shithoused and sick as a dog now. I'm not at this party, but I get a text at about 2 a.m. I'm in my apartment. And Tejan had just figured out how emojis work. So he texts me, and it looks like the NATO visual alphabet, just like all these little signs and symbols. And he's like, "Hey Chris," wavy emoji. "I went to a party," little like party streamer emoji, woohoo, beer, "and I got too drunk," and then like the beer mug emoji and a guy throwing up, "and now I need you to pick me up with your car," and then like a little car emoji. It's like, "Can you do this? Yes or no?" And in that moment, I'm like, A, no, I don't want to pick you up at 2 a.m. in my own car because I don't like vomit in my car, and it's 2 a.m. Fuck that noise. And B, dude, just call an Uber. So I respond back and I'm like, "You should try this cool American invention called Uber that I think you're going to love." And he's like, "Oh, dude, good point. I'm going to take the Uber. Thank you." And he stumbles back into the apartment around 3 a.m. I figure, okay, I'm just going to let him do his thing. He stumbles back into his room after shuffling in the kitchen for a bit. And that next afternoon, you know, I slink out of bed. I'm pouring myself a bowl of Captain Crunch. And Tejan stumbles out from his room. He's looking a little worse for wear. He partied a little too hard. And I just look at him like, "Hey, how was the party last night?" And he says, "I got so sick. And I am sorry for the lemon." And in that moment, I look at the counter. I bought a single lemon from the grocery part of Target. I was going to make like hot lemonade with it or something weird, or cocktails. I forget. And it's gone. My lemon has been pilfered. I assume by Tajon. So I look back up. I'm like, oh, dude, did you make like lemonade or something? And he's like, no. It was delicious. And I at this point, I'm like, my confusion is just immediately replaced with like, oh. I'm like, did you eat a lemon? And Taejon's like, it was delicious. I was so hungry. Oh, it was incredible. And I'm like, you ate a lemon. You ate a fucking lemon. Like the whole lemon, like the peel and the sticker. And he looks at me and he's like, what do you mean sticker? I'm like, this guy ate the fucking sticker. He got absolutely blasted, walks into the apartment, sees a lemon and just eats it like an apple and then goes to bed. His stomach had to look like Hiroshima that night. Like, how do you eat an entire lemon and pound a Four Loko on top of whatever else you drank and not die the next morning, man? Like, how was he upright? What a legend.
Oh yeah, like it's wild the things that you'll do when you're, especially when you're in college and heavily influenced by many drunks. Like, I went to a party once and it was at my buddy's house that he was staying in. It was his aunt's house, but he was allowed to stay there. And his aunt didn't live there or anything. So he had the whole house to himself. And we went there and we started drinking and everything. And I don't ever remember leaving this house. But what I was told the day after.
Oh, no.
is that
it's never good when you have to hear about what you did from a third party.
Yeah. What I heard had happened was we left the house, walked downtown, went to this bar called Liquid, and I, while there, threw up on the bar floor, stumbled into the bathroom, passed out in the bathroom. A bouncer came in, found me there, and decided to leave me there. And then eventually I woke up, tried to leave through the back door, at which point another bouncer told me, you can't leave this way. And so I kind of nodded and was like, all right, cool. And I, like, moseyed my way to the front door, left through the front door. And then the only thing I remember from the walk home, which was like a good mile, was crossing the train tracks and then handing my ID to the person working the front desk at my door. And then I woke up the next day in bed and was like, huh.
How did I get here?
How did I get here?
Cool. It's always a bad sign when your drunken night out involves like you vaguely remembering crossing train tracks.
Yeah. Well,
that's a recipe for a disaster.
And the thing is too, is like I walked home alone. Like
yeah.
Nobody was with me. I was alone.
Oh,
I didn't tell anybody I left. I just walked out.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, when you're drunk, you just want to go adventuring. You know, the wanderlust hits you hard after your 15th Bud Light, dude.
Oh man, I remember my first roommate in college. He was a junior. He's a tall black guy. He was on the basketball team and everything. And he barely ever spoke to me, but like every once in a while we'd have like a good chat. And so one night he came back to the dorm on a weekend and I was like awake when he like came home, and he climbed into bed, clearly hammered, and like just passed out. And at one point, it was probably like 2-3 in the morning, I woke up and he was like throwing up in his bed. And then he just passed back out.
Did he like wake up, tilt his head to the left, and barf like not even off the bed?
Not even off the bed. It was on his bed.
Like it pulled up next to him.
Yeah, like towards the wall. And then he passed back out. And I was a little bit drunk too. And so I was like, all right, whatever. And I went back to sleep, fell back to sleep. And the next morning I woke up a little bit before him, and he woke up and he was like facing me. So he was away from all the vomit. And he told me afterwards, he was like, yeah, man, I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm in bed. This is awesome. And then I turned my head and I went, oh no, this is not awesome.
This is very quickly stopped being awesome.
Right.
Oh God, oh fuck. It's everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It was all over him.
Oh, that's hideous, man. I fucking hate that.
Oh, horrible. Absolutely
so
horrible.
Bad. Oh man. Speaking of getting belligerently drunk and throwing up everywhere, I've got a good story to that effect. I've only ever been blackout drunk once in my life. Never on purpose. It just kind of happened. I guess no one really plans to get blackout drunk, but I was in Aruba on vacation, and I was there with my family, my immediate family, like my mom, dad, and brother, and then my uncle and my cousin, my Uncle Joe and my cousin Palmer. And naturally, we're on vacation, so you got to start drinking at 10 a.m. You know, we're all chilling by the pool. And it was one of those nice pools that has like a bar in the pool that you can swim up to and get drinks. And the bartender, it was pretty sweet. It was a nice place. And the bartender was like our buddy, man. Like he was hooking us up with heavy pours and like, oh, whoops, extra beer. Woohoo, what you gonna do? Great bartender. However, that kind of came back to haunt us very quickly. So we kick things off, and this is one of those trips where you're doing some power drinking. Like we're ordering beer by like the KFC bucket. They arrive just in like a giant like cardboard KFC bucket, and it just packed with cans of like, not like name brand beer. It's like Aruba brand beer. There's like 2 breweries on the island, and both of them, I think, make the exact same shit. They just get funneled off into different cans. So I was drinking like Happy Island Lager or some shit. And I think I had a couple of those down, and then the cocktails start showing up. This is where things get dangerous. Because beer, beer is a background substance. You can pound a couple of those every hour and be fine. Too much liquid to really do any damage. But a cocktail, you don't know what the hell the pour is like on that. You could have a double, triple, quadruple shot. You just don't fucking know. And I wasn't ordering them, so I didn't know what was showing up. But I do love a good mojito, so I think they're mojitos. Only problem is they're looking a little orange. So what I now dub the orange mojito of doom shows up. About, I think, tray of like 5 of them to our like pool chair area. And I take one down. And I'm in the pool having a great time. I'm chatting up. I think there was a like a new group that my family was talking to, like some family from like Ohio or something. And
yeah, you gotta love Ohio,
right? Just great things come from Ohio. But yeah, everything after that gets a little hazy. There's a photo of me in a gray tank top. I don't own a tank top. I don't know where I got the tank top, but I'm wearing a tank top in the pool, shit-faced. I don't remember the photo being taken. I am lost in the sauce. At some point, the dad of the family we were talking to, his name was Gordo. He got me like one of those like blue slushy drinks. And at this point, I'm hearing secondhand what happened to me. Mikey told me, he handed me this blue slushy drink. I went, oh, thank you, man. Immediately dropped it in the pool because we were both in the pool. I pick it up. The cup is now full of just pool water. And I just start fucking chugging pool water.
Oh my God.
So I got a gut full of pool water, copious amounts of alcohol, and a dream. So at this point, I'm like, I guess I'm getting a little wiggly. Like I'm about to fall over or pass out. Like I guess I am prone to fainting in the heat. So my mom's like, oh God, he looks like he's about to pass out. So a team of people have to drag me out of the pool now. And they just put me in like one of those pool chairs, little umbrella out of the way. And I just start puking. It's horrific. Like they take one of those empty like KFC buckets that used to be full of beer cans, and just like some random lady was like, oh, he's about to throw up. Oh God. And she becomes like my nurse at this point. Like I'm barfing, she's holding the bucket. That lady was doing God's work. She did not have to do that. But my God, I was out of commission for at least 3-4 hours. It was bad. I just don't remember anything from it. And the funniest part too is like I puked so much. I woke up at like 8 a.m. the next day, felt amazing. It's like, oh man, I'm ready to take on the day because all the poison was out of me, man. But I remember I walked down to the beach roughly the same time the next morning, And the bartender was down there running beers to people on the beach, and he looked at me and went, "Oh, you're alive!"
You're alive. Oh God!
Oh my
you thought you
God.
died.
Everyone's looking around at me. I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" Wow.
Jeez.
It was a unique experience having no recollection of what the hell happened, but everyone's looking at you like, "Oh, he lived." It was surreal,
that's what,
man.
That's one of those things. Like I've had a probably 3 times where I fully blacked out, and never again. No, thank you.
I can't recommend it, dude. Like seriously, it's not a pleasant experience in the slightest. Just getting that drunk is always a bad time, you know? Like you get diminishing returns so quickly.
Yeah, on my I think it was on my 19th birthday, a buddy of mine, he decided, like, I was throwing a little shindig in my dorm room, and just like 3 or 4 of us, you know. My buddy goes, "For your 19th birthday, I'm gonna do 19 shots."
No, the fuck you aren't.
Well, he was a big guy. Like, I mean,
well, how do you space out those shots? Was he doing them all at once?
He was, yeah, not all at once, but in pretty quick succession.
Oh, Jesus.
He said he doesn't remember me reaching past like 14.
Fucking hell.
And but he made it to 19, and then a couple of my buddies were like, "Hey, let's all go out to the bars." And me and the guy who like was doing all the shots, we're not big bar people, but they talked us into it. So we're like, "All right, we'll go to the bars." And we made it maybe 100 yards from the dorm room, and then my buddy, who I'll call Nikolai,
to protect the innocent.
All right. Me and my buddy Nikolai, we made it about like 100 yards from the dorm room, and then he just like collapsed in this field and just started puking his guts out.
Ugh.
And like my 2 buddies are like looking at him like, "Oh God, this is bad." And I look at him and I'm like, I didn't want to go to the bars anyway. Like, I'll take him back to the building and make sure he's okay. I'm like, "You guys go on, guys go have fun. I'll take him back to the dorm." And Nikolai is like, he's like 230, like, and I weigh probably 150 pounds, being generous. So I'm like huffing him up on my back and everything. And at one point, these people across the street are like, "Is he okay?" And I'm looking at him, I'm like, "Yeah, he's fine. You know,
Everything's all right.
Everything's fine." I drag him into the dorm building and everything, up to his room and up to my room. And I'm like, literally, I got him laying on his back, and I'm like pouring little sips of water into his mouth to try to hydrate him and everything and get him off of this. And he just starts vomiting all over my dorm room, all over everywhere. Yikes. And at one point I was like, "All right, screw this. I'm getting you to a bathroom, so you're not going to ruin my whole room." So I grab like the keys to get into the bathroom and everything. I drag him over there. And once I got him in the bathroom, he's like, I really need water. I need water. So I'm like, "All right, stay here." And I run back to my dorm room. I grab some water. And when I come back, there's like a crowd outside the bathroom. And all you can just hear from the inside is, "Ooh." And I look at them all, and I'm like, "Everything's fine. I got this." And I rush in, and
he's not dying, I swear.
Yeah, as soon as the door opens, this guy's eyes go wide, and it turns out he was the RA. So he called an ambulance and everything, and so my buddy Nikolai got transported to the hospital to get his like stomach pumped or something, and I'm kind of like sticking around. Like, I'm not the kind of guy to like run away from if I should get in trouble or something. So I'm kind of sticking around like, what's going to happen? And the RA looks at me, he goes, I guess he kind of realized that like I was really trying to help out. And he was like, "Look, man, just get out of here. You don't need to get in trouble." So I bounced. And I was like laying in bed awake for a couple of hours. Couldn't sleep because I was worried about him. And then like around like 4 a.m, I was like, fuck it. Like, I can't sleep. I might as well go see him. So I hopped on my longboard and I longboarded like 2 miles to this hospital. Because I was a freshman, I didn't have a car or anything. So
it's a lot of fucking longboarding at 2 a.m.
Yeah, so like, that was my quickest way to get there. So I got there, and you know, he's in this room alone, and like there's nobody around. All the nurses are at like the nurses station, like laughing about all the drunk kids and everything. And like at one point, he reaches over to me. He's like, "I really gotta vomit." So I like grab a trash can and like pull over for him to vomit it and everything. And like at one point, a nurse walked in and was like, "Where's the IV in your arm?" He's like, "What do you mean? Like a nurse came in here 30 minutes ago and pulled the IV out of me." And she's like, "No, they didn't. Like, why did you take the IV out of your arm?" He's like, "I didn't. A nurse literally came in here and pulled the IV out of my arm." And like it was this whole big thing. And then I ended up staying there with him for the whole night, and we got a cab back to the dorms the next morning. And the real messed up thing was the university policy was if you got an underage drinking charge, they would put a suspension on your meal plan and your ability to get into your dorm room.
Doesn't seem very productive. You can't eat or live here anymore.
Yeah, so for like 2 months, anytime he wanted to get into the dorm room, he had to wait for somebody to let him in. And if he wanted to eat, he had to like pay for it himself.
It's pretty on draconian, top of like, dude. I don't understand that.
It was real messed up. It was real weird.
Wow, man. Yeah, that was always just like one of those classic scenes that you see on a college campus, is like the person who's had way too much and just keeps on trucking. Like, I really do respect you for sticking with that guy, because I've seen plenty of people, although granted, I'm not like, close friends with them, where they just, you can tell early on they've gone off the rails and their night's pretty doomed. But like, wow, man, that's next level. It does remind me, fairly recently, I went to one of like the 3 bars in College Park. You think a college town would have a ton of bars, but College Park was like, they had like 3 really like rundown crappy bars, and then like another slightly nicer bar on the opposite end of town, like 30 minutes away on foot. So most people went to the 3 dumpster bars. But I went to one not too long ago with a close friend of mine and a couple of his roommates. And his roommate was in rare form. It's probably a pretty common form for him, actually, now that I think about it. He drinks a lot. But, dude, he was going nuts. And, like, you could tell, like, we were at the bar that was easy to get into, which means that's not the bar where the party's at. We waited in line for almost an hour at the other place and barely moved. It was like getting in line at Disney World. Like, what the hell? All right, fuck this. We're going to the place where you can get in immediately. And like, it just felt lame as shit. Like, you look around, it's like a bunch of like freshman dudes sitting there like, "You like video games?" It's like, nah, I mean, yeah, cool. Sipping your fucking $37 rum and coke. You're like, man, this is the bar scene at UMD. All right, okay. But my buddy's roommate, let's call him Periwinkle. We'll call him Periwinkle. That sounds about right. Periwinkle is just fucking pounding him. He's just straight up doing shots, which, I mean, bang for your buck, not a bad way to go about it. But he is just fucking pounding it to the point where he is just off the rails. Like, I turn away, like I'm talking to my buddy Kyle for a bit, and I turn back and he's just making out with some random chick. I think it was consensual. I hope it was consensual. It looked like both parties were having an okay time, but I'm like, wow, where did that come from, dude? And then I turn away for a second. I turn back. This guy's gone. Just disappeared. No idea where he went. The girl he was making out with was still there. She was like chilling on her phone, like with like another dude at this point. I'm like, wow, what the hell? And me and my buddy Kyle, and I think his other roommate, I forget his name. It was Tom. Yeah, his name was Tom. They're all getting a little tired, and they're like, all right, I think it's time we head back. And I think Periwinkle stumbles out of the bathroom. That's where he was the whole time. He's like, oh man, oh no, you guys, you're going home? Oh, all right, okay, I'm gonna stay here, man. Where the fucking party's at? And we're like, okay, Periwinkle, you have fun. And we walk out, and we're like halfway back to the apartment, and we just imagine what the fresh hell Periwinkle's doing back there. And as we're walking, we just see Periwinkle lounging like at the bottom of a telephone pole. Like somehow he's now ahead of us. And we thought he hung back. We're like, Periwinkle, how the fuck did you get out here? It's like, oh man, I got bored and left. That morning he told us he didn't actually get bored and leave. He fucking got like thrown out by the bouncer after he like went exploring in like the kitchen part of the bar. Like it's also a restaurant. And like there's this like saloon door type deal that goes from like the main like dance floor area to the kitchen. Periwinkle went, much like Dora, went fucking exploring down in the kitchen. And some guy was like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he got chucked out of the place. And somehow he made it like ahead of us when we were walking back to the apartment. Man, people do some dumb shit when they're drinking, but it's very entertaining.
It can be. It can also be very horrific.
Oh, that too.
Yeah, I have no desire to ever be blackout drunk again. Like, screw that. I don't ever want to have to hear a third party what I did last night.
Yeah, you don't want to be the the one guy who doesn't remember what you did. Not a fun position to be in.
Right.
Good memories though. Good times. It's like when the oh dude, this is kind of like a niche College Park thing, but like when the oh my god, the Natty Light 77 pack came out. Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
So apparently College Park is like the number one consumer of natural light in the world. Like no contest, like a pretty solid head, like above the competition. And I agree, Natty Light is pretty foul as far as beer goes, but it's cheap and gets the job done. You know, it's the beer of choice for any broke college kid trying to get hammered on a Friday night. So they unleash the 77 pack. It's like the size of like one of those big New York City metal trash cans, like Oscar the Grouch trash can. And it's shaped like a hexagon, I guess. You know, you can pack more beer per square inch in that shape. And they were flying off the shelves. People were fighting over these things. They were bribing truck drivers, dropping them off at the liquor store. Everybody wanted the holy hexagon, the 77 pack of Natty Light. I was lucky enough to have a couple of them show up at parties I went to or tailgates, but they were kind of hard to get your hands on. But we had people that would literally go to the liquor store at the end of campus, all the way down on the south end of campus, who lived at the dorms on the far north end of campus. It's about a 25-minute walk on a good day. And they have to haul easily, like more than like shit. I can't imagine how much beer this was, but 77, like a garbage can full of beer all the way up campus, and then rolled it like down the hall of their dorm. And like their RA caught them and they got in like a shitload of trouble. But like people were suffering for their art trying to get these holy hexagons, man. And I got to admit, like the beer did taste better coming out of that like weird hexagon can. It was pretty tasty. I mean, only as tasty as Natty Light can get, so like a 3 out of 10. But that's a lot better than it usually does, man. And college was fun. I miss that.
Yeah, I always remember Natural Light tasting like somebody drank a beer and then pissed it into a can.
Yeah, it does taste a little recycled now that you mention it.
Yeah.
My favorite. Like I knew it was bad when I had my college graduation party and I was having my family down, and my family can drink. They're not very discerning. They'll just drink whatever you got. Even they didn't touch the Natty Light. You know, they're sticking a Bud Light and like fucking rail liquor and shit, but like no Natty Light. That shit did not get touched.
There's a beer that my dad likes. It's from a brewery in Pittsburgh called Iron City Beer.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, it tastes like rusty iron and will give you the shits for days.
I wouldn't expect anything less from Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
it
and like,
seems pretty on brand.
I love Pittsburgh. It's my favorite city in the country.
Really?
But yeah, well, like, so I have a lot of family history in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
But yeah, like when my family immigrated from Europe to to America, they hit the border and beelined it for Pittsburgh. And I think I'm the like first generation of my family to not be born in Pittsburgh.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like even my dad was born like in a suburb of Pittsburgh. Like
You
I
can
was
take
the
the man out of the Pittsburgh, but you can't take the Pittsburgh out of the man.
Yeah, and like so like my whole family's like diehard Pittsburgh, like everything.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm kind of like the oddball out.
Have you ever been to Kennywood?
I haven't. I need to go. I need to go so bad.
I've been a couple times, man. Don't set your expectations too high. If you've been to Hershey Park,
it's a shit show.
Imagine that on like some high grade, like fucking like hospital grade antihistamines, and you've got Kennywood. Their mascot's like some like jank ass looking 1970s dinosaur. You know, like you look at all this stuff, it's like all branded from the 70s. They're like
Six Flags, but their mascot is Gritty from the Flyers.
They have like a Steelers roller coaster last I checked. But like, man, it's so ratchet, but so cool at the same time, man.
Right, and that's always been the appeal to me, is being like, oh, it's this really awesome amusement park, but it's awesome because it's freaking terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Like the charm is in how god awful it is. Like there's this one attraction. Right. I wouldn't call it much of an attraction, but like there's like a little like reflecting pond area. It's pretty moderately sized, I guess, but like it's like a little lake in the middle of the park. And basically like one of those construction cranes right at the base of the lake. And one of those fucking things where like you hop in like a bungee cord, like but like multiple cords, and you just jump off of this crane, like not into the lake, but like right on the edge of it, like you're about to hit the water, but you don't. And then you're slingshot back up. And I'm like, this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. I wouldn't do this at like Disney World, where they have like a legal budget and shit, let alone fucking Kennywood. You'll die. Yeah. I don't have enough faith in the fucking prison work release guy running the safety machine up there to make sure I don't die.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, Pittsburgh is such an interesting city because, like,
it's fascinating. There's so many bridges.
There's so many bridges. I think I took a tour there once, and I think they said there was over 200 bridges in the entire city. Now that's including like footbridges and everything.
Yeah, but like at that point, it's like somebody fucked up designing the city to need that many bridges. They just wanted to flex on people. They wanted to practice making bridges.
It was like either they fucked up or they just decided to just take an idea and roll with it.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, you know what? After the 1500th bridge, you know, you just might as well go for the hat trick, right?
Right. But it's such an interesting city. Like, have you ever heard of the Pittsburgh Incline?
No. Let me look this up real quick.
So it's a very famous part of Pittsburgh. It's off. It brings you up on top of Mount Washington, which is off of I think the Monongahela River.
Oh, that looks cool. It's like a little like red like shack that's on a rail.
Yeah, and it takes you up this incline, and it takes you up at the perfect angle where you can see Pittsburgh from like the most perfect angle.
That sounds sweet. I'd like to do that.
Yeah, the incline's really cool. And you can go to like the exact point of Pittsburgh, like the very tip of it, where the Allegheny and the Monongahela River meet and form the Ohio River.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And the another unique thing about Pittsburgh is it's a very small city. So you can go there and you can see the entire city in a single day. At least everything worth seeing, you know, like, I mean, it extends pretty far out, you know, the farther, I guess, west you go.
Yeah.
But like the main part of the city is like within the two rivers and everything, and like at the like closer to the point, and you can literally walk the entire city and see everything worth seeing in a couple of hours. It's really cool. It's really unique, and you know, like, and you can walk from downtown Pittsburgh across one of the bridges to get to the incline to get up on top of Mount Washington, and it's beautiful. I mean, I love that city. It's absolutely amazing.
Nice. I've only been a couple times, but I do have like some family roots in Pittsburgh. Like my grandpa lived there for a number of years, and I feel like he didn't like it very much. I think he's on the record saying if he ever had to go back to Pittsburgh, he'd rather just die. But I think this was also what are you gonna say?
Well, I feel like a lot of thing with Pittsburgh is unless you were like born and raised there, like
you're not gonna get it.
You're not gonna get it. Yeah, it's like
well, like, he also lived there when it was like before like environmental regulations shut down a lot of like the steel mills and stuff. So like the whole city was like unlivable when they were doing like a coking operation in the steel mill.
Yeah,
like it just off gassed into the whole city. It was pretty foul.
Yeah, but
it's actually like, pretty nice today. Like I actually went there. My cousin was looking at going to school at Pitt. He was doing a college tour there. It was actually pretty nice. Like I liked it.
Yeah. Like they do these things called duck tours.
Oh yeah, I've done those.
Yeah. And they'll like drive you throughout the city on these duck boats and.
Dude, one time I was on one of those duck boats in Boston, and we're just like driving by. I forget where in Boston. It might have been right by Faneuil Hall, and these two cars got into a fender bender while we were driving by. Me, my mom, and my dad. Mikey wasn't around yet. It was just me. I was a kid, and these two cars get into a fender bender. One guy gets out, and he's like huge, like 500, 600 pound, like big fat guy with a cane.
Oh wow!
And the other guy in the other car is like a buff dwarf, like little person dwarf. Gosh. And they just start duking it out. Like the fat guy's like swinging his cane at him, and the guy like the little dude's like fucking rolling like Dark Souls. Like it was nuts. I wondered sometimes if like they arrange that, if they like just pay the two dudes to get into a fight in front of the duck boat. Like it was just such a strange event.
Yeah.
Oh man,
like
nothing quite like it.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like picking a fight, like you gotta really recognize like when you're outmatched. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like the dude was so big it quit being a threat and started being a liability.
Well, like I got a buddy, my buddy Smitty, Simeon Smith. He's like Smitty is like probably 6'3" at the minimum, and like, oh gosh, I don't even know how many pounds, but he's big. He's big enough that he competes in national level sumo wrestling now.
Oh, dude, that's next level big. If you're like a sumo contender.
Yeah, so like he's a sumo wrestler now. He started sumo wrestling towards the end of my close friendship with him. I still talk to him and everything now and then, and check in on like how everything's going with him. I used to work with him, but is
he still sumo wrestling today?
He's still sumo wrestling now. Yeah, actually, it was like
that's awesome.
Like I knew him for like 3 years before he even started sumo wrestling. It wasn't until like 8 months ago when he started sumo wrestling.
What got him into it?
So he wrestles in high school like I did.
Yeah.
And he also did football. So he was a linebacker for an amateur, like a small amateur football team in Findlay, Ohio. But he was looking for ways to like stay in shape, and he got into sumo wrestling. And so
I can't imagine sumo wrestling's an activity for someone who wants to stay in shape. I thought one of the prerequisites was that you had to be like a big fat dude.
Well, a lot of them are, but if you know anything about wrestling like I do, it's a crazy physical activity. And
I don't doubt that part at all.
Yeah, and like I don't know as much about sumo as he does probably, but like I've watched some of his matches and they're all very quick. Like a lot of sumo matches, they only last like 30 seconds. But if they're, and like I always find myself thinking like, oh, it's very quick, like it can't be that tough. But if there's something I know about wrestling is that 30 seconds of wrestling is enough to wear you the hell out. Like, I mean, like I had to train a whole season just to go 6 minutes in a normal wrestling match. you know, and like sumo, it seems like there aren't exactly weight classes. Like it's just I've seen him go up against people that looked like they were 150 pounds lighter than him. Like it's brutal. And so like and it all comes back to like, you know, like you gotta gauge who you're going up against. Like I'm not a big guy. I 5'8". I weigh $160, and like, and I've trained pretty much my whole life in fighting stuff. Like I grew up doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai boxing, and then I got into wrestling. So, and then when I went to the police academy, I learned Krav Maga. Like I knew four different disciplines of fighting, and
all of those martial arts don't fuck around.
Yeah, and all of them are ones that are literally geared towards just fucking anybody's day up.
Yeah.
So, like, I know how to fight, but if I got into a fight with a guy that was 220 pounds and didn't know how to fight, I'm still probably going to lose.
Yeah, at that point, it's like, fact. You can't fight a fridge. You know?
Yeah.
It's just, you're outmatched at that point.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much training you have or how good you are. Like, there's a certain point where the guy's just going to sit on you.
Yeah, it's like you can punch and kick him all you want, but it's like fighting a brick fucking wall.
There's a guy that lives in my neighborhood, and he was at one point, he was a backup for the Vikings football team. And so he's this massive guy, like super huge, like probably 7 foot tall, just behemoth of a man. And me and my dad, he's a super nice guy, like wouldn't hurt a fly.
Yeah.
But my dad and I were obviously like for a long time we would often talk about him. We'd be like, yeah, like if Mr. Michelle ever wanted to just like got mad at one of us or something, or we got into a fight with him, like we could just throw the hardest punch we could throw at him and it would have no effect. Like there was a certain point where it just doesn't matter.
Eat a punch.
Yeah, you just eat it and then he would just mess our whole day up.
Oh man. Punching him just makes him mad.
Exactly. It would do nothing but just make him more mad and then mess our day up even worse. My dad wrestled in high school too, which is part of what got me into wrestling. But he said one year he was in practice and he was wrestling against this guy. And he said the worst mistake he ever did was he scored a single point on that guy. And he said for the next 2 months, every single day at practice, that guy, anytime they would like break off to do training, the guy would point at my dad and be like, "You're mine." And then he would just punish him for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because my dad scored 1 point on him.
Oh, man. Pretty fucked up. It's like, you gotta be, all right, you got me. Now I'm going to ruin you for 2 months straight.
Exactly. For 2 months, he just punished him.
Oh, man.
But that's what it was. That was what it was. Like, that was kind of shit you did. Like, you know, you had pride. Like, there was a guy I used to wrestle with. He was my main wrestling partner. His name was Dell. And Dell was just a beast. And, like, we complimented each other. Like, we were very, like, toe and toe. And it wasn't until I, like, got injured and had to take a lot of time off from wrestling and everything that we kind of got distanced. But by the time I came back as a senior, like, I tried wrestling with him again, and God, he just beat the living hell out of me. Like, he was something else. And he almost won the state championship. He came second place in the state in his weight class. But, man, anytime I wrestled with him, he wasn't big. That's the thing. He wrestled 106 pounds.
106?
106. That was his weight class.
Wow, that's nothing, man.
Yeah.
So I guess at that point, like, it's more about just like the tactics of it than just overpowering the other guy.
Oh yeah, no, he had tactics. Like his so he was actually I had known Dell since I was in like elementary school. And Dell was actually bow-legged. So his legs bowed outwards.
I can't tell if that would help or hurt when you're wrestling.
In most cases, probably hurt. In his case, very much helped. So like, he had a lot of surgeries to help correct his bow-leggedness and everything. But the thing about him being bow-legged was when he would get into his like wrestling stance, he could get into a crazy, insane low stance to the point that like you could not take a takedown shot on him. He was so low. His center of gravity was so low. There was no way of getting him off balance. So it was almost impossible to take him down.
It's like he just becomes the human anchor.
Yeah, he was anchored to the ground. You could not take him down. And he had this nasty, mean ankle pick move, where he would take one hand and slam your head down, and then he would grab your ankle and throw your head to the side and just throw you down to the mat. You didn't before you even knew what was happening, you were on the ground. And It was absolutely insane. I had no way of defending against it, and my best move was a double leg takedown, which is just a shot on the legs, grab the legs, lift you up, and take you down. And he had the best defense against it, so I had nothing I could do against him. So he just destroyed me every time.
It's a fire hydrant. I can't take him down.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was just like, as much as I kind of like at some point kind of resented like the fact that he was so much better than me and like there's nothing I could do against him, I also thought it was amazing seeing the fact that like he was using his disability to his advantage. Like,
that's pretty great that he found a way to make that work in his favor.
Right, like awesome. No other person could have done that. I could not have done it with my legs. There's no way I could have had a stance that low and been as effective as he was.
It's a hell of a thing, man. I gotta say, like, I'm always surprised just how much you can. I'm trying to figure out the best way to word this, like overcome like just the physical size or demeanor of somebody when it comes to wrestling. It's more about how you move rather than just, how big you are as a dude.
Oh yeah, like, so I read about this guy. So he was an amputee. So one of his legs had been amputated, and he was a wrestler, and he completely dominated his entire competition. And the reason was because he could put on so much muscle everywhere else on his body because he was completely missing an entire limb of weight. So
what was he missing?
He was missing his like left leg.
My God.
So he only had one leg. So imagine if you lost your entire left leg and were able to take all the weight of your left leg and apply that muscle to every other muscle in your body. So every person he wrestled against, he was immensely stronger than.
Really?
Because
I feel like you would really want to have that extra leg of leverage and muscle.
Oh, you would think, but you adapt and you learn how to wrestle without it.
Yeah.
And so you become an expert in how to wrestle with just one leg. And all of that weight that comes off from only having one leg, all that weight that comes from that leg that you're missing gets distributed out into all the other muscles in your body. And you end up being just as skilled as every other wrestler on the mat, but you're like 25% more stronger than everyone else.
Wow. I'm not like a legologist, but that doesn't sound right. Like you would lose a leg and then your body would be like, well, we had all this stuff that was going to go to that leg. Ah, well, put it everywhere else now.
Well, it doesn't happen naturally. You have to train it into your body. But what limits wrestlers is the weight class. Like, you can only be so strong because if you put on so much if you put on so much muscle, you'll be so heavy and you won't be able to wrestle in that weight class, and you'll have to wrestle people that are even stronger because they're in a higher weight class.
Okay, once you
But
bring the weight
because he
class
was
into
missing
it.
because he was missing a leg, he could wrestle at lower weight classes, but be as strong as a guy that was like 3 weight classes up.
Okay, so what you're saying is to get good at wrestling, you gotta just cut a limb off and you'll have the competitive edge. Oh, it's that simple.
It's not that. It's just it's interesting looking at like how something like that would normally be a disability can completely change how things go. Like, so a thing that I did when I wrestled was I deliberately trained to be a lefty wrestler. So like I'm naturally right-handed. And so whenever I would learn new moves, I would always learn them as a lefty. I would learn and practice them as a lefty wrestler. And it was because most wrestlers would only learn to defend against right-handed moves.
Yeah.
And so if I did that same move on the left-hand side, all of a sudden they had no idea what to do against it.
That's clever.
Yeah. And I would still like work my right-hand side. It was more like a 50-50 kind of thing. Like I would do 50% on my left.
But you always gotta
so it was more
keep
like
your
I was
enemy
ambidextrous. Guessing. But you know, like a lot of times, like I'd try moves on my right-hand side and there was nothing I could do, and then I'd switch to my left, and they had no way of defending against it and had no idea what to do, and I won a lot of matches that way.
Pretty awesome, man. It's a crazy story about the guy missing a leg, man.
Oh yeah, like I don't remember his name, but I'm sure if you looked up like a one-legged wrestler, like he'd come up. He was some black guy, and like it's just amazing. Like
so was he going? Was it like a Paralympics type deal, or was he going up against?
No, this was not Paralympics. This was like just straight regular ass like Olympic. I think it was Olympic. I could be wrong, but from what I remember, it was like Olympic level wrestling. And he like only had one leg and was wrestling against guys that were fully capable. Like,
so like
he was winning.
Imagine being the guy that's got to go up against like the absolutely massive one-legged dude who's got like a whole leg of weight that he can get away with having everywhere else.
Yeah. Oh, and it wasn't even just the fact that like he had the extra muscle mass. Like he was also just an amazing wrestler. Like
yeah.
Like, you know, like he just was good. Like that was just like the one thing that like gave him that extra little advantage.
Yeah. And you know, like crazy. Had he been wrestling before he lost the leg, or?
I think he had. If I remember correctly, he like already had some history in it and everything. But
because that'd be extra ballsy if he lost the leg and was like, you know what? I think I'm going to learn to wrestle.
I'm going to learn to wrestle. Yeah. I mean.
Imagine the training montage.
Oh, I know.
Hopping up the steps. That's pretty wild, man.
Yeah, there was a movie that came out. It was called Bleed for This. It was a true story. It was about a boxer who in one of his he was a professional boxer, and he got into a car accident and like broke his spine and had to be in like a full body cast for a long time. And like while he was in a full body cast, he started training to fight again and ended up coming back and being one of like the best fighters in the league. And like,
that's crazy, man. I can barely get my fully functioning ass into the gym on a good day, man. That takes so much.
Nowadays I struggle with it. Back when I was in high school, like you couldn't get me out of the wrestling room, but now it's like, oh, the gym. I don't know.
I'm very envious of people who get like just like that pleasure from being at the gym. Like it's never felt like anything other than shit. Well, now I got to do this.
I will admit, so I struggled with going to the gym a lot for a lot of years. And then I reached a point where I realized that if I went to the gym wearing like the stuff I would wear when I was doing wrestling, I was actually more comfortable.
Huh.
And
I wonder what that is.
I think it was, so a lot of things I don't like about gyms. I don't like how many people are around and how social it is.
Yeah.
I like just being I like being closed off and in my own space and just doing what I'm there to do.
Muscle zone.
Yeah, I'm just there
Just
to do what I need to do.
Me and the grind.
Yeah, and when I would wrestle, a lot of times we're cutting weight, so I would wear sweatpants and hoodies and trash bags and everything to sweat it out and everything. And so I started going to the gym and I'd wear sweatpants and a hoodie and I'd put the hood up and I'd pull the drawstrings around so the hood would scrunch around my face and it would block my view from all the other people in the gym.
Working out looking like Kenny from South Park, all cinched up.
Yeah, a little bit like that. But it would block my view enough so I could kind of become in my own space and not worry about everyone else that was around.
Okay.
And so I would just be more comfortable because it was easier to just become myself here doing the job. Whereas before, I'd show up in gym shorts and a t-shirt.
When you said that you'd show up in what you were wearing for wrestling, I imagined you in a spandex singlet in the gym going, oh, this is better.
Dude, let me tell you, you put on a singlet for the first time, it's the most freeing experience.
Oh god, dude, that would just be so uncomfortable, man. If you have to wrestle for the first time in these things, it's you're just
oh my god, you feel so free. It's like you're wearing nothing, and you're just I feel like there's so many things I can do.
Feel like I'm wearing nothing at all.
Right, exactly. Oh gosh, I still have all of my singlets.
That was one thing that always baffled me about wrestling is why are they forcing you to basically wear a swimsuit while you're wrestling? I guess so you don't have anything you could grab onto clothing wise.
Yeah, that's pretty much why.
Wow.
Yeah. I still distinctly remember when I think it was a freshman. So I was junior varsity. And I was sitting in the stands and a couple of ladies had shown up to watch the match and everything. And I was sitting kind of nearby and they kind of turned back from me and they're watching this guy walk out to the wrestling mat and they go, "Do you guys wear cups?" And I look at them and I go, "No." And they kind of look at each other, smirk and go, "Oh God."
Oh God.
Oh yeah, because the guy walking out of the match, he was packing.
Oh man, that's got to be an occupational hazard too in your wrestling. Do people just go straight for the nuts? Is that not?
No, it's illegal.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Still, I feel like there's got to be some incidental damage going on sometimes.
Yeah, every once in a while.
An elbow to the sack. Doesn't sound.
Oh man, I took an elbow to the nose one time. Man,
screw the nose, man. You take an elbow to the sack, that'll put you out of commission.
In 4 years, I think that happened to me once.
Huh. Yes, people try to avoid that.
Yeah, it's it's not common. It's there's not very many moves that take place in that region. So.
What do you mean, dude? I wrestle sack first.
I do remember my assistant coach showing me a couple cheeky moves, and there was one where if you were on the top position, so the other guy was basically on his hands and knees in the down position, and you would be behind him. You got one hand on his belly button, one hand on an elbow behind him, and as soon as the whistle would blow, you would take your knees and dig them into the thighs of the other guy and hit those pressure points in your thighs. And it would basically force the other guy to flatten out onto the mat. And it would it wasn't technically illegal, but it was also subtle enough that, a ref wouldn't see it.
Huh.
Yeah. So there was a lot of like things like that. There was one time I was in practice and I like was practice wrestling with this guy, and I just was like feeling funny, so I tried to move out on this guy, and I like tied up with him, so we're like hands on shoulders with each other, and I looked at him, like locked eyes with him, and then I just went and blew a puff of air in his eyes. And it was
like
enough
that,
to make
it's like that machine at the optometrist where you get like your prescription checked and it blows the air into your eye.
Yeah, and it was enough to make him blink long enough that I could land a shot on him and take him down.
That's next level, man.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
like,
Holy shit.
Yeah, good luck a ref catching that. Like,
oh wow.
I never did it in competition, but I thought that was really funny.
That is very funny. Holy shit, dude. Like all you need is a blink and they can't react to what you're about to do.
Oh, if you know what you're doing, that's all it takes.
Wow.
It's like a quarter second of them not focusing and you're done.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Never fancied myself a wrestler. The more I hear about it, the less I fancy myself a wrestler, but it sounds fucking crazy, dude.
It's the proudest thing I've ever done. All right, I'm back.
Oh, perfect timing. I just finished taking a leak too, man.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I can't wait to forget to edit that out so people just listen to us peeing separately for like a solid 2 minutes.
Take a note in that notebook to make sure you edit that out.
The pee break spectacular. That might be the highlight of the show, dude. But yeah. Oh man, it's always a pleasure getting together to record these bad boys. Always a good time. I'm trying to think of like a final note to end it on. One last nugget of wisdom. So here's a funny thing about this job I started recently. You learn a lot about people based on what you see when they share their screen. You know, because right now it's all remote. You know, everybody's like, you know,
right.
It's Amazon, so they use Chime. You know, they should be using Zoom, but they want to be different. And every time on Chime, they screen share. They have to like pull open like their file explorer, you know. And this girl I was helping on this this call, she was trying to file like a support ticket for like her time roll or something. And dude, she opens up her like file explorer thing, going through to like try to find like the trouble ticket she filed. And she is doing some shit on her work computer that I would not do on mine. Like I guess she's like trying for a kid or something, because she's got like her menstrual cycle chart pulled up in PDF form. In the background, I'm like, whoa!
Oh God!
What are you doing on your work computer, girl? You need Jesus. Also, good luck on the kid. Like some people just do some wacky shit on their work laptops. And like it's like an institutional thing, dude. It doesn't matter how high up you go. It's like you had that Jeffrey Toobin guy who thought his camera was off, started beating his meat on like a work call for CNN. I'm like, dude,
God, yeah,
dude, it can wait until you're out of the meeting, bro. What are you doing?
Right, like, oh man. I'm like, just give it 15 minutes, brother. Like,
yeah, it's like, come on, man. Like, you can hold it in. I got faith in you. You can do it.
Like, 15 minutes is what's between you and a sex offense.
Exactly, dude. You're a 15-minute wait between, you know, standard issue or a case.
Yeah,
a good time, man. You don't want it, but yeah, man. That's about all I've got. You know, another solid 2.5 hours of enchanting conversation in the chamber. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with the audience before we call episode 2 of the Bricktato show?
My favorite saying is positivity is the best activity. So for anybody out there who is struggling with anything right now, if you're struggling with dealing with COVID and everything, or just all the dark times we're going through right now, just try to stay positive, keep a positive mindset. You know, in my experience, if you stay positive, things will work out in your favor. So just, you know, keep that notion in your head. Positivity is the best activity. Just keep trucking through. You've got this. we're all in this together. You know, just keep thinking about those good things in life.
Absolutely, man. You know, it's like COVID's been dragging on so damn long. I feel like you could split my life into two periods, you know, pre-COVID and after COVID. I think a lot of people can relate. But well, we're dealing with what feels like a very new world that you've got to navigate. You know, it's tough to keep your eyes on the positive and, you know, what to do going forward, because a lot of it feels like the same damn thing day in and day out. But what's important to keep in mind is it doesn't have to be that way. And eventually, I don't know when, but things will start to look a little more normal. I think we're kind of getting closer to that by the day, but it's an unpredictable thing. You never know for sure. But
that's for sure.
Keep in mind, you've got the power to be that positive change that you like to see, you know? And you kind of have a unique opportunity with COVID. You know, everyone's working remote. You don't have to put on pants to go to work. You know, you have a lot of opportunities to make that change. There's a quote from my boy Abraham Lincoln I always like, where it's saying, as I nonchalantly lean over to my second screen to look it up, the best way to predict the future is to create it. Now, if there's something that you would like to have, a skill you'd like to have, you know, if you want to, you know, lose some weight or learn an instrument or gain some weight and forget how to play an instrument, you have that ability to be the change that you want to see in the world. That one might be Gandhi. I can't remember. But so it's important, you know, in times where you feel very out of control in terms of the things going on around you, you got to focus on what you can control. And that makes all the difference, especially when shit's as messed up as it is right now because of COVID.
Absolutely. I mean, take this time to focus in on those things that you've always wanted to do, but always felt like you didn't have the time to do. The thing I've been working on since this all started is I've been working on learning the banjo.
Yeah, man, absolutely. All the banjo music you hear in this this bad boy is from our very own banjician, Matt.
Yeah, it's all stuff that I've learned and created myself, and I'm very proud of it. And you know, it's been a life-changing experience getting music back is a major part of my life. And you know, like whatever it is for you, whether it's drawing or painting or creating art or creating music or whatever it is you're passionate about in your life, take this time to really sit down and do something that is productive to you and helps you become a better person. This is the time to do it. So
and if you can't, there's always binge drinking, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, there has always been drinking.
But on that note, I can't recommend it either. But on that note, thank you for listening to another episode of the Bricktato Show. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen in and hear us rant about random stuff day in and day out. Really does mean a lot. So I've been Chris. You've been Matt. Thank you for listening, everybody. Play us out with some fancy banjo music that I'm definitely not going to dub in later. Listen to it go. Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh, man.
It's tickling my eardrums in just the right way. Oh, man. You'll love to hear it. Thank you for listening, everybody.